You ever watch a game, Cole, where you feel like you've seen a sequence, and it's not even like the last 30 seconds of the game, it's before that, and you think, there's no way that my team is coming back to win this game. Not now. Not after that sequence. That's the way I felt with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to play last night for Clemson against North Carolina. I had just tweeted that they got a 10 out of 10 on the resilience scale for staying with North Carolina through the majority of the second half. And then with 3.5 minutes to play, Cole, Ace Buckner misses a step-back jumper. Carter Welling gets the rebound, misses the putback. The ball's going the other way. North Carolina scores, and I say, this is it. Yeah. This is it. There's just no clutch shooting down the stretch. This Clemson team is falling apart before my very eyes.
You know what? It did feel that way. I did like the effort down the stretch, but I just feel like when you go against North Carolina, Diesel, somehow, some way, you've gotta dictate how those final minutes go. And I thought North Carolina deserved a tremendous amount of credit, Diesel, last night for dictating the final minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the game and hitting some big-time shots. I mean, some big-time shots. But when you're playing against a good team, man, you can't go into those final 2 to 3 minutes and just hope things go well for you. Clemson didn't really dictate how those final few minutes went, but North Carolina did.
Yeah, the John Connor in Terminator said, no fate but what we make, and Clemson did not make their fate in the last 3 minutes of that ball game last night. Now, obviously, that's a tough thing to do when you got a guy like Luka Bogovac for North Carolina, who's normally a 10-point-a-night kind of player.
Yeah.
He just goes out and hits 6 3-pointers by himself, scores 20 points against Clemson, and basically put that team on his back from the bench. I mean, it is a refrain that we have said far too often over this last 2.5, 3 weeks of Clemson basketball. They just let somebody who doesn't normally get hot against them and take over the game, and they had no answer for little Luka in this game.
You know what's crazy about it? Like those timely, we talk about this a lot too, timely baskets and timely points, and Luka's those 2 3-pointers right there at the end couldn't have been more timely. So yeah, you're right. Ultimately, one guy kind of, you don't want to ever say this, but one guy did beat you last night. And yes, you know, when you're going up against Vassar, he's back healthy, and Stevenson and Elijah Davis didn't have a good night. Seth Trimble was okay, 38 minutes and only 9 points. You feel like, I think, Diesel, this is why Clemson fans and Brad Burnell are probably frustrated. You feel like you played pretty good against their starting five, and you held their starting five down, and defensively you felt like you played pretty well, but then you look, like you said, 9-13, 9-0-9 from your starting five, 4-3, 20.
Yeah.
I mean, the one guy, I know that Brad Burnell wouldn't admit that one guy beat him last night, and that's what good teams do. But like you said, you've got to figure out a way to not allow that to happen. It feels like now Wake Forest, Florida State, North Carolina, they shoot the ball extremely well. And guess what? You didn't have.
Yeah.
You didn't have that guy.
It was inefficiency. RJ Godfrey, 22 points on the
night.
He was
good.
Huge night
he was
for
good.
him. Good night for Carter Welling, not tippy top of his capability, but a 13-point night for Carter Welling. The problem is Dylan Hunter goes 1 for 9 for 4 points with 29 minutes on the floor, inefficiency. Justin Porter 2 for 5 for 5 points with 28 minutes on the court, inefficiency. Butta Johnson 3 for 5. He shot fairly well in his limited opportunities, 33 minutes, inefficiency. I mean, you got guys out there giving you so much time on the court, but they're not putting points on the board. And then that final sequence with 10 seconds to go, Cole, maybe it's just that I don't like Jay Williams very much, but Jay Williams is saying with 10 seconds to go, got to get a quick two. You don't have to shoot a 3. Bro, you're down 3 points with 10 seconds to go. What are you talking about? Get a quick 2. What does that even mean? You're going to get the ball back with 4 seconds to go and put a team that's shooting 74% on the night on the line and say, well, I guess now we got to shoot a 3 with 4 seconds on the clock. What is he even talking about?
Well, the problem,
those scenarios?
And the problem with that is if that happens, you've got to then foul them quickly, hope they miss a free throw.
Right.
The time didn't help Clemson last night. I know that everybody is going to talk about that final sequence, and rightfully so, but I don't think that's where they lost the game. I think they lost the game in the final 5 to 2 minutes of the basketball game, just in their inability to close out on guards. And we talked about Luka, what do we call little Luka, whatever. I like that, little Luka. I mean, he was spectacular with 20 points, but Diesel, I think what makes this so frustrating, I've got some Brad Burnell audio here in a second, but what makes it so frustrating is I would imagine if you asked Brad off the record, was this your most frustrating loss of the season? I bet he would say yes, because if you go look, now the games are won by the scoreboard, but Clemson outplayed North Carolina in a lot of areas last night. They were good on the boards. They shot the ball better than North Carolina did, right? They were 7 of 20 from three-point land. North Carolina shot a little bit better from three-point land. Their percentages went way up right there at the end of the game, and maybe skewed a little bit, but you're right. They hit 12 three-pointers. That's big. But Clemson stayed right there. Reboundings, they were one rebound off. So you felt like other than those threes, especially those flurries late, you felt like you were right there. I think that's probably why it was so frustrating for that Clemson team to lose in the fashion they did last night.
And talking about that final play of the game, Dylan Hunter gets the ball in, but he struggles to get the ball in, almost doesn't. And you got to think that throws you off your rhythm and throws you off what you had planned on doing in that final sequence. Would I have liked for him to, fake the drive and pop a three there and have a chance to tie the game?
Yeah.
Sure. Do I hate the fact that he drove the lane and tried to initiate contact and it ultimately didn't get the layup, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway? You still would have ended up being down 1 in that scenario. No, I don't hate it, but I do like the fact that the referees let him play, because Dylan Hunter did initiate that contact. I mean, if you watch that play again, Dylan Hunter is basically even with the basket, and his defender is in between him and the baseline. So he tries to sort of jump and throw that elbow and that hip to his right and initiate contact with the defender. Good no call, in my opinion, because that defender wasn't really on the ball anyway. Ultimately, again, the shot didn't go in. They didn't call the foul. So either way, it would not have helped them much. If they got the foul, but the shot doesn't go in, you're still down 1. If the, having not called the foul at all, then you would have been down 1 if you make it anyway. So it was just a poor sequence on that final play. You would have liked for them to get a better look than that with 10 seconds to go. I know it's not a long time for you and me, but for a basketball team, 10 seconds when you've worked on these things every single practice all season long, 10 seconds is a long time to get a good look, and they just couldn't make it happen.
By the way, quick side note, they just showed this graphic on TV. I think it's pretty cool to note. I don't know if he's in attendance, Diesel, but the women's tournament in Greenville happening right now. Miera O'Neal has had 20-plus points today for the Florida Gators that are winning 74-48 right now over Mississippi State. I don't know if you've heard of her dad before or not, and I don't know if he's in attendance, but he was a pretty good basketball player, Shaq.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, could we get a Shaq sighting in Greenville? Do we think? Is he there? We need to find out. Lulu Kesson, who we're going to talk to in a little bit, Diesel. We need to find out. I mean, how cool would it be to be walking around or watching on TV like we're doing? And, there's that. Who's that big old? Oh, there's Shaq. His daughter plays for Florida. That's pretty cool.
How about that?
I love it.
They couldn't get her on scholarship at LSU. Come on. She's a legacy.
That's true. You know what else? I mean, imagine I was walking just down bebopping downtown Greenville, and all of a sudden you turn the corner beside, the what's the place you went for Valentine's right there on the corner? I love it. The place underground.
Oh gosh. Now you're.
Why not make us forget it?
Trap door.
You're walking beside the trap door. You're taking a left to turn the corner, and bam, there's Shaq. Right.
You're like, I didn't know they planted a new tree downtown. Yeah. Oh no, that's just.
I would love
7 foot forever Shaquille O'Neal.
We got to find out if he's in Greenville today, and if he is, he should be on the show. That's what I mean, we're having Dawn Staley. By the way, Dawn Staley on the show today. Tolos, if you haven't seen it. I know. How cool would that be? A Dawn Staley, Shaquille O'Neal in the same show. But back to Clemson. Before I get to this Brownell audio, I don't think you put too much into the loss. Like, I don't think you hit the panic button, because the good news is, the bad news is you lost down the stretch again. But the good news is I don't think you'll be punished for it, Diesel, a lot because of who it was. It's a really good North Carolina team.
Well, if you look just at the bracketology where they sit right now, They haven't moved since yesterday's bracketology. Obviously, they haven't updated that, but the 9 seed facing Clemson would be Missouri. You know, you never know where these guys might move some players or move some teams around, but Missouri is not jumping Clemson for an 8 seed. Clemson's not falling below Missouri for a 9 seed. They have the same record against quad 1 teams, but Missouri has been awful against quad 2 teams where Clemson has been really, really good. So again, anything could happen of where these teams are seeded, but based on that, I mean, you wouldn't see Missouri jumping them. I don't think they're going anywhere. Plus, I mean, they looked good against another tournament team.
By the way, on the YouTube stream, Dewey says Clemson should have won last night. And Dewey, I know I've said this more often lately than not. I don't know why, this is weird to say, but I think you're right. I agree with you.
Well, we got to correct Dewey because it's National Grammar Day. It should have won last night.
Oh,
Clemson
should have is what he said.
Is incorrect grammar. It's National Grammar Day.
Dewey, come on.
Gonna get after you for that today, Dewey.
Only today. Stephen Webb on Facebook says, Cole, we need a new promo. Why don't you try to rag her about her ego? I don't want to rag her anymore because, number one, I don't have anything to rag her about. Number two,
Cowboys stink.
They stink. And number two, I like having her on the show. You know, eventually you keep ragging her, and she may tell Diana, "Hey, Diana, we got to cut this guy off." You know, these interviews we're doing every year, sometimes twice a year. We got to get rid of these fan upstate guys. All they're talking about is bashing my Eagles. By the way, they are South Carolina. I was told is leaving campus at 4:00 on the bus, headed to Greenville. We'll talk to Coach Staley at 5. So from an hour, they should be getting pretty close. From Columbia. Clinton. We'll ask her if she stopped at the Blue Ocean up there on the side of the interstate.
Let's hope they have service.
I think that what they should have done, Diesel, what they should have done is they should have bussed them from Columbia here to the station.
Yeah.
They hang out. Our bosses feed them early dinner, right, at 5:00, because I'm sure our bosses would have loved to do that, right? Yeah. And then we could just get them all on the air. That would have been fantastic. That would have been a great idea. By the way, while we're on these side notes, we did hit our goal yesterday, Diesel. I want to let you know, we had a goal yesterday, and every day, if you just tuned in and you didn't tune in yesterday, before we get to Brad Burnell audio, we waxed our goal of 10 Tolos. You remember, you said yesterday, hey, let's get 10 in the tournament challenge. Well, guess what? We got 10, so now we need a restart. Hit the restart button on that. 10 more today. You can find the link on our Twitter and Facebook page, or if you text the show at 844-326-3663, I'll send you the link. As of right now, Diesel, we've got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 Tolos. We had 18 on day one. That's pretty good, right?
Love it.
You said if we can get over the next 12 days 100 or 10 a day, we'll obviously have over 100. We've already got 18. So Tolos, get in on the wire-to-wire Fan Upstate Bracket Challenge. Again, text the show. We'll send you the link. I see Joe Cool. I see Bob, we had a baby, it's a boy. I see Cole don't know ball. That's really not. That's not nice, is it? I see Rebel Vol 51. Hey, that's a familiar upset pick player right there, isn't it, Diesel? Rebel Vol 51.
Yeah, he's always in these things.
Cocky Jake. Duke is going to sweep. I see Cole, Kelly, Green, Bryson, whatever. I don't know what that means. I see Tom. I see Puppy Monkey Baby. I see KOLEBRISON. What are we doing here?
That's got to be Dewey. That's
you think
Dewey.
so?
That's Dewey.
Cole with a K, Bryson B-R-I.
Do we think Dewey is allowed to have an internet connection?
That's a good point. T. Kano, Diesel don't know ball. That's you, though.
That is me.
I don't know who Cole don't know ball. Bronco Bryan, Dan Ballin on y'all. We want Patrick Brown, Blake Hammond. I love it, man. A lot of Tolos. All right, real quick, let's go to Brad Burnell, Diesel, his takeaways post-game last night after the loss to UNC. Brad, what'd you have to say after that? Maybe.
Coach?
They compete.
There you are.
Give North Carolina credit. I thought they had a couple guys. Bogovic, I think, is that maybe how you pronounce his name, was obviously outstanding. Big shots. Dixon made a huge 3 at the end of the clock. That was a huge shot. And that's really what, the game kind of came down to. It was just 1 or 2 possessions here or there. Turnovers are about the same. Rebounding similar. All the things that you would expect in a close game. RJ was fantastic for us. And, just disappointed. We had a chance to kind of win one here and just had a couple bad possessions and weren't able to steal a win a little bit.
Diesel, do you, in a situation like last night, do you give more credit to the teams that hit those big shots, or do you fault the team, Clemson, in this case, for not defending well enough and allowing that to happen?
The obvious real answer is both. Both of those things can be true at the same time. But as we talked to Michael Cross of the Southern Conference yesterday, he was playing both sides. I'm not going to do that to you. The answer is I fault Clemson for not hitting those big shots. We know that North Carolina is good. We know that Clemson is a scrappy, resilient team, and that they did that very well through the first part of the first half. But, come on, you cannot go cold in the situations that you have to have points in. And they just went cold. They couldn't rebound. They couldn't hit shots. They couldn't do anything right the last 3 minutes.
So you don't fault them necessarily for allowing those big shots. You fault them more so for not answering those big shots from North Carolina with big shots at the rim. Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. Like if you go into a game against North Carolina, Diesel, you as a coach, when you're Brad Burnell and those players, they know that, hey, in order to win this game, we're going to have to make big shots.
Even if you're answering their threes with twos, you're at least putting points on the board. You're at least driving and initiating contact and trying to create three-point plays. Clemson couldn't do any of those things.
I do hate that Godfrey had such a good game. And I don't want to say you feel like it was wasted, but again, like Clemson shot the ball well, 43% from the field, and they dominated inside, Diesel, which is crazy. They had 34 points to paint last night. To North Carolina's 18 points. Again, you go look at these different statistical categories. I know North Carolina led more than Clemson did. Clemson went right there with them, step for step.
So that begs the question, if you're looking for a two and a foul at the end, why not get it to Godfrey, who's been red hot in this game? Why give it to Dylan Hunter, who didn't play particularly well, and have him just kind of throw up a wild prayer of a layup and try to get contact?
Dylan had, 4 points last night. So, I know those, like, when games like that happen and finish the way they did, a lot of people talk about those last few. And no, Clemson didn't make the best play in those last few, but I really look at it from a totality standpoint. I think North Carolina Diesel led 65% of the game. Clemson led the other, 30, 35. You had opportunities. You had a 5-point lead at one time, and I know putting away North Carolina is easier said than done, but I just think that when you talk about getting such a good performance from R.J. Godfrey, 22 points, that guy was 10 of 13 from the field last night. He didn't miss. 3 times he missed. That was it. And one of one. He only took 1 3-pointer. I don't know if they want him to be a little more aggressive. I know that's not like his MO, but still, he shot 1. He made 1. I don't believe he missed any free throws either.
He missed the 1. Remember, there was the he hit the first one, and the second one, a North Carolina player tiptoed into the paint on the free throw, so he got a second chance, and he missed the second one as well. So he did miss 1 free throw, and it was a one where he had 2 shots at it.
Yeah, and 9 rebounds. He played I think probably his best game of the year. 7 defensive rebounds, a block. He was really good. And, the bench, not great. You didn't get anything, from 3 guys, Dallas, Jake, and Chase, but you did get 6 from Nick Davidson. You did get 5 from Ace Buckner. I do want to highlight this real quick before we run to a break. I heard Don Munson say this last night on the radio call. He said that whenever Justin Porter shows up, and I think Justin started well early last night, kind of maybe faded down the stretch. Don said that, when Justin gets involved early, Clemson wins a lot of games, and Tim Beret hit him with a good stat. I just think that even though you look at what Godfrey did, Diesel, I don't think, let's go to a negative now because they have played really good, and we gave them credit for playing good last night. The other guys around them didn't play their best. I don't think the bench last night played their best. I don't think Dylan Hunter played his best last night. So, again, when you go play a team like North Carolina, we know, you've got to bring your A game, and that didn't happen last night.
No, it did not. And Cole, we didn't even mention the petty moment coming out of Arizona State last night when they threw the smoke up at Bill Self after he got ejected in that game. I love the game day operator who was ready to go with that one.
Don't you love a Bill Self ejection, man? I love, any kind of ejection, right? All right,
So good.
Diesel, let's bring it really local and talk Furman Paladins hoops in the very next segment. Dan Scott, the play-by-play voice of the Furman Paladins, joins the show. Our first in-depth look at the Southern Conference weekend. Next with Dan Scott.
Upstate.
Well, it's time to talk some Furman Paladins basketball. A little SoCon mixed in there as well with Dan Scott, play-by-play voice of the Furman Paladins, who you hear on this station each and every time Furman plays. And hopefully they're playing a few more times on this very station before the season comes to an end. You know, Dan, I do want to start off with a question that we kind of talked about yesterday with Michael Cross, the commissioner of the SoCon, and we've talked about this already a couple of times this year as well. But this league, this tournament, man, is just so wide open. There is a sense that anybody going into this thing, for the most part, can win this weekend in Asheville. Dan, with that being the case, do you feel like that benefits Furman more, or maybe is a disadvantage? Because obviously there's two sides. The benefit could be, hey, Furman has a chance, but the disadvantage could be, Dan, well, there are other good teams that are going to be competitive. It's not just a 1 or 2 horse race right now.
And I think that Furman, because of what it's been through this year, has a very firm grasp on the fact that it can beat anybody in the league or it can lose to anybody in the league. I would think that going into the tournament, the teams that would be more susceptible to something like that would be an ETSU, who won the regular season, or maybe a Mercer, or even a Wofford to a certain degree. Although Wofford did have a little bit of a skid there late in the season, still finishing as the number 2 seed. The bottom line is, though, I said it from really the first week or two of the conference portion of the schedule, multiple times on air from that point on. I'm wrapping up 15th year as the voice of Furman. I've never seen a year, and this is not hyperbole, I've never seen a year where you walk into this tournament this weekend and legitimately there are 8 teams, maybe even 9, that could roll the dice and scare the absolute daylights out of you. And I think that there are probably 6 or 7 teams legitimately who could get on the run and win the thing. And I don't know that that's been the case in any other year that I've been doing this. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope it's an extended run of fun for Furman.
Dan, you said it there that, Furman has the ability to beat anybody they might face in this tournament. Can you put your finger on any kind of a common thread or a through line that occurred in the games where Furman did play above itself? Which is something they're going to have to do if they want to make a deep run in this tournament. Is there any consistent element to those wins against the better teams that they have to be able to pull out now when it really matters most?
Yeah, they have to defend, and it's not a tried answer. I mean, the numbers support it. Defend and rebound. They were the number 1 rebounding team in the defensive rebounding team in the league, and yet the 2 games they lost to Western Carolina, they got obliterated on the offensive boards in both games. Western Carolina just, when you rebound 50% of your own missed shots, you're going to have a chance to be pretty good at finding ways to get second chance points, and that's what Western Carolina did. When Furman defends and rebounds, it is as good as any team in this league. And as much as people have talked about the fact that they haven't shot the ball as well, as consistently well as we thought they would coming into the season, and there have been good moments and there have been some not so good moments. The bottom line is, if they hold in league play, if they hold opposing teams to 30% or less from the 3-point line, they're either undefeated or have 1 loss. And amazingly, when they do that defensively, Furman's offensive output is always better. And you look at the 2 games leading up to that Western Carolina finale on Saturday, when things just got away from them, that's what they did. They locked it down defensively in the second half at Wofford, only allowed Wofford 19 points total in the final 16 plus minutes of that game. And then, despite the fact that they were 6 of 23 from 3 against the Citadel, they held them 18 points below their season scoring average in a 72-51 win. So I don't think it's any big secret at all. There's no mad scientist formula that you have to try to figure out in the lab. If this team defends, it's got a chance to win the whole thing. And when I say defend, that includes rebounding. I mean, you got 2 6'11" guys. You ought to be pretty good at rebounding. And for the most part this season, if you look at the numbers, they have, but there have been those occasions where they haven't. And when they haven't, it's cost them big time.
Dan, have you seen in years past, like, trends change in the tournament? Like what we're talking about right now, it's so true. And, Furman's inconsistency at times throughout the course of the regular season, a couple of wins, a couple of losses, no stretch of a lot of wins together because of how, open and deep the conference is, going back to what you said with anybody being able to win it this season or this weekend rather. But have you ever seen some of these trends change in a drastic way? You talk about defense and rebounding there, but it's just a different venue. It's a week off. Things change a little bit, not for the most part, but have you ever witnessed that?
Yeah, we witnessed it last year with Wofford, who struggled down the stretch and finished as the number 6 seed.
Yeah. Got
to Asheville, started hitting shots, won 3 straight games, and went to the NCAAs. So, I mean, it's not like you have to go digging deep into the record books to see it. It just happened last year. So that's what's so marvelous about a tournament like this. The sad thing is that this league only gets one team in.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the league's strategy of going all in for basketball since Michael Cross took over has paid off in the way they thought it was going to, because we still are a one-team league, a one-bid league. Having said that, knowing that only one team is going to go makes for some knockdown, drag-out basketball over 4 days in Asheville. And so I think it's going to be a highly entertaining tournament.
Dan, Cole and I have gone back and forth on this, and I've had a problem with some of the mid-major conferences wrapping up their regular season early. I understand that you do that so that you can get your conference tournaments on TV in prime time before the bigger conferences have their tournaments. But obviously, it kind of makes the calendar just a little bit wonky. There's a little extra time between the end of the regular season and the tournament, and then there's a lot of time between the end of the SoCon tournament and the NCAA tournament. Just your general thoughts on the way the Southern Conference calendar lays out for this tournament.
How'd it work out for Furman in 23?
True. That's true.
I mean, again, not trying to be cute with the answer. I don't think the calendar has anything to do with it. Honestly, I don't. In fact, I think that the team that wins the Southern Conference, after battling through 3 games to get there, I think they can use the rest. And just going, back to Furman when we win in March of 23, you had a week of build-up, a week of hype, especially for a team that hadn't been there in 43 years, and had the big viewing party at the old Timmons on that Sunday to find out you're going to play Virginia, and then everything kicks in. So, look, these coaches are very, very adept at keeping their teams ready to play. Bob has had a schedule for the week off leading into the SoCon tournament he's used since 22, the year that we got beat by Chattanooga in overtime on that Hail Mary shot. He's done the same thing every year, and it's worked out for them. And he has a plan in place for what they will do if they win it and have to wait 10 days to play again. I honestly, I think too much is made of that stuff. Sometimes there is something to staying in a rhythm. I get that. But if you've played 3 games in 3 days and you've just come through, that would be a 34 game season, counting those 3 tournament games. then I think you look for a little bit of time off to kind of get your legs back under you. And like I say, in 23, it certainly didn't help Furman on March 16th in Orlando. I mean, it didn't hurt Furman.
Yeah. Dan, a little bit of a format breaker because you hit on it. You brought it up there a minute ago with a one-bid league. What are your thoughts on something we've talked about on the show quite often here in the last week or so? In another conference in college basketball with a team like Miami of Ohio, who snuck out a close win last night, but the Bruce Pearls of the world say, hey, if they falter in the conference championship and lose a game, even though they've gone undefeated, yeah, that's not good enough. You shouldn't be in the tournament. What are your thoughts on that situation with Miami of Ohio?
So what are we going to do? We're going to take a 4-14 Mississippi State team?
Yes, they want more SEC.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Pearl is still reaping the benefits of all the success that he had at Auburn, and that's for somebody who worked his way up through the ranks as a coach, to me, that's a ludicrous way to look at it. Honestly, it really is.
Yeah, we agree.
If Miami of Ohio wins 2 games in their league and loses a championship and they're 33-1, I don't care what your schedule strength is. If they're 33-1 and they're not in the tournament, then there needs to be a federal investigation.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. I don't care what your schedule is. There's only been one team in the history of college basketball, one team, I think, or at least since 1976, Indiana, who finished the season undefeated and win the championship.
That's crazy.
One team. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter that they're winning these games close. It's the fact that they're winning. That's what matters. But the beautiful thing about the NCAA tournament, Dan, is that it's both. It's the head and the heart. The head tells you that maybe Miami of Ohio is not one of the best 68 teams and has a weak strength of schedule, but your heart has to tell you that team just went undefeated in its regular season, and that has to matter. I can't fathom the people that get to that level and then just throw all that out the door. I just saw
you know why they're at that level? Because the more teams you get into the tournament and the more wins you get, the more money your conference gets on that formula that they have. That's why all of these conferences are the Power Fours, Power Fives, the big schools. That's why they're all lobbying even for an expansion of the tournament.
Right.
Because of that formula that pays the conference more money for the more teams they get in and the more victories they get. It's a 5-year rolling over mathematical formula. And that's why they're doing that. And if they tell you anything else, they're lying through their teeth.
Yeah, and
that's why they're doing it.
Obviously, he's probably low-key lobbying for Auburn because his son is the head coach, and that would mean a lot to have his son get the team in there. Dan, I just saw that the Pacers signed Jalen Slauson to a 2-way contract. Awesome for him to see him still playing in the league. Any idea if Jalen or Mike Bothwell or any of the other great Furman players that have recently had success and gotten into the tournament will spend any time around this team, calling into the team, sending messages to the team for motivation or guidance?
I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if Bob didn't pull somebody in. He's always really good at doing things like that. When they had the Legends weekend at Furman last month, it was really good to see a lot of, now Slaw and Bothwell weren't there, but it was good to see some guys like Alex Hunter and some others going back to just about the time that I started 15 years ago, and obviously guys from the 60s who were even there. Bob is usually really good about doing stuff like that. If he thinks it'll help the team, he doesn't do it just to do it. But if you're going to get somebody who can talk to you about playing with a little bit of an edge, Jalen Slauson wouldn't be a bad one.
No doubt. Dan, my last question for you. I noticed this in the Wofford game, and I don't hear from Bob Ritchie near as much as you do. Could this be something we see in the tournament as well? And maybe there's a reason for this that I don't know about, but Asa Thomas, who leads the team right now in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, in that Wofford game, you remember just a couple of weeks ago on that Saturday night at Wofford, he didn't play much in the second half. I think he had a big first half, Dan. He had like 16, 18 points, something like that in the first half, and then didn't play as much in the second half. Is that a offense versus defense kind of system with Asa, where sometimes late in games he doesn't play because maybe of a defensive matchup, or is there something to that I missed there?
Well, I don't think it wasn't so much that he didn't play in the regular rotation. He only took 2 shots in the second half after he hit 6 straight threes to start the game.
Right.
Wofford decided, hey, we might want to guard this guy.
Yeah.
And down the stretch, when he found a combination defensively that was doing what they wanted to do, he stayed with that a little more often. The bigger defensive switch you'll see is with Ben Vanderwall.
Okay.
Late in games. I don't necessarily think there's anything major like that with Asa. I just think it was one of those deals where Wofford decided, okay, maybe somebody else needs to hit a shot for them. And they really went to great lengths to keep the ball out of Asa's hands.
Dan, can you give us any thoughts on the women's team taking on Mercer today at 5:45?
Boy, this has been a great year for Pierre, and in his 3rd season, kind of the breakout year for them. And I know that they have beaten every team in the league, I think, except Chattanooga. So getting off to a great start. I would love to see it today. They've got shooters, they've got size, they've got rebounding. It's really interesting. I have seen more women's basketball practices in my 15 years than I have men's practices, because invariably they're always practicing at home when I get there to set up for the men's games. So I get to see a lot of women's basketball practices, and watching how he and his staff interact with those ladies is phenomenal. They, I believe, beat Mercer twice this year. You hope they can add a 3rd one to that. But it's regardless of what happens, it's been a breakout season for him in his 3rd year. And hopefully it's just the beginning of some really, really good things coming.
Dan, appreciate your time today, and have a couple of great calls, hopefully several more calls this weekend and in the next couple of weeks with the Furman Paladins. Appreciate you as always.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Dan Scott, play-by-play voice of the Furman Paladins. Good luck to also, like you said, the ladies. What'd you say, 5:30, 5:45 today?
5:45 today.
Here soon.
2 evenly matched teams, both of them 17-12 on the season. Furman a little bit better in conference play, but an evenly matched game. I think that's going to be a fun one coming up later on this afternoon. Coming up in the very next segment, Cole, let's talk about some of the off-season moves that we're seeing, that we're hearing about in the NFL as we're approaching free agency for the Carolina Panthers specifically, because things have been pretty quiet when it comes to the Panthers this off-season. 3 free agency and draft moves that we expect the Panthers to make next.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Shout out to Chef DRL on the stream. Hit a 315-pound bench press today.
Ooh.
Actually, just a few minutes ago while listening to us chat with Dan Scott.
We get credit for that, right?
Yeah.
We better get credit for it.
He said, I started lifting and listening to this show around the time Mark Ryan took over, and I'm just now peaking.
Love it.
Well, that means that we helped you peak, Chef, because
Love it.
you've been with us now for, is it 2 years or is it a year?
Two.
2 years. That's awesome. Cole, if you haven't seen this yet, try to find the video, and Tolos, you do the same. A brawl broke out between Coastal and South Alabama in the Sun Belt Women's Tournament. This was wild, man. South Alabama was up 9 with 5:30-ish to play in the game. There's no sound to this video, so I would have to assume that there was something said. But you got Coastal bringing the ball up the court, and a Coastal player is in the post, and a South Alabama player just D's up on her. Doesn't look like anything happened, but the Coastal player wheels and throws a punch faster than I've seen outside of like maybe these videos of Mike Tyson training for fights recently. I mean, like she spins and throws a punch so fast, erupts into a brawl. 1 Coastal player and 7 South Alabama players, including 3 starters, were ejected from the game. A referee went down. They had to bring out medical personnel to check on her. I mean, this was
got ugly.
It was ugly between Coastal and South Alabama. I have to look and see, Cole, if there has been any change in that game. What if you start this fight, which no, it didn't help them. If they had started this fight and Coastal somehow finds a way to come back and win the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, that didn't happen for the Chanticleers. South Alabama beats Coastal, advances in the Sun Belt Women's Tournament, but just a wild scene down there, Cole. Now, we've been talking about NFL free agency and some of these trades and moves that are going on. Obviously, a lot happening all over the league, but you're not hearing the Carolina Panthers name thrown around very much at all right now. And maybe if you're Dan Morgan, that's by design. You want to just kind of keep to yourself, handle your business through the draft, keep doing what you're doing, stay out of the free agency market, Cole. But if you're Dan Morgan, if you are Dave Canales, if you are Dave Tepper, what are 3 moves that we would like to see these Carolina Panthers make, whether it be through trades, free agency, or in the draft this offseason to continue this momentum? Because, I mean, they were a playoff team last year.
They were a good team.
Yeah.
They were a good team. They were a much improved team. There's definitely some areas, and I think the number one area, we've talked to Dan Morgan just a couple of weeks ago about, it's pretty obvious, it's pretty evident, Diesel, for a team that was near the bottom of the NFL last year in sacks and rushes on a quarterback. They've got to get a veteran pass rusher. I don't know if it'll be a Max Crosby type. I think that would be a dream scenario if somehow, some way the Carolina Panthers could land a Max Crosby, and all of a sudden you talk about a guy like that impacting the wins and losses immediately.
Sure.
Not saying he's a 3-4 win guy just by himself, but he's definitely still got a lot of good football left. I would go then left tackle. After that, Diesel at number 2. They've got to get some protection on that left side for Bryce Young. And there's some potential free agent fits out there that could be interesting. But I think at times last year, you saw progress from Bryce, but you still got to get him some better protection. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going back to linebacker. I'm going back to the defense for number 3. I want them to get a little bit better here, and I would like for them to go in free agency and get a veteran linebacker, not somebody who's young and inexperienced out of the draft, somebody that can come in and help that scheme of what they're doing. So my 3, I'd go number 1, edge rusher, number 2, left tackle, number 3, linebacker.
So I'm glad that you brought up edge rusher here, because there are reports that DJ Wanham could be departing this team, maybe to make some room. When it comes to the cap strategy, they don't have a lot of cash. The Carolina Panthers right now, before any other moves get made today, they have about $9 million in cap space available. So they're still a cash poor team, which means they're not getting a Max Crosby, who made $32 million last year.
Yeah.
They're not getting a Trey Hendrickson, who made a boatload of money last year. They might be able, Cole, could I interest you in a Khalil Mack? He made $18 million last year. He's a little older. He's 35, but hey, having a veteran pass rusher in that spot might not be a bad thing. Khalil Mack's still a good player.
No, he's still a good player. The only thing I could say is over the next couple of days, and the Dallas Cowboys just did it today or yesterday, I believe, Diesel, if in the next few days you talk about that $9 million, if the Panthers could restructure some contracts, maybe all of a sudden you could create $20 more million in cap space to go get a Max Crosby. So there's still a few days left before free agency opens, but they don't have much time. That would be a dream scenario. But Khalil Mack, I think, still has good football left.
Yeah, I would also be looking for a turnkey 1B running back because Rico Dowdle, I doubt Rico Dowdle after a 1,000-yard season is going to want to stick around on another 1-year contract for the Carolina, unless he just fell in love with the city of Charlotte and loves what Dave Canales is doing. I'm not super confident in them keeping Rico Dowdle around. So I don't know if that's going to be done via the draft. I haven't really taken a whole lot of time looking at the running back situation into this season, Cole, but they've got to figure out a 1B running back to pair there. And Cole, I know this is not really a move, but if I'm them, I'm starting to think about what my succession plan is for Andy Dalton, because Andy Dalton is old AF. Even though his hairline is still strong as ever, they got to figure out what they want to be after Andy Dalton leaves. If you want a Lamar Jackson type of offense, they need to start looking maybe into next season at a Dante Moore or a CJ Carr out of the draft. I don't know if they're going to be drafting high enough to get those guys. But, I want to see some synergy with this quarterback position. If they can back up Bryce with somebody like Bryce, I like their chances if Bryce goes down.
Only problem is if you draft Dante Moore,
you've had a bad season.
No, but I'm saying, how do you draft Dante Moore and say, hey, you're the backup? What
if Bryce stinks it up or is just average again next year?
Could be interesting.
Give him a year to sit behind Bryce Young, learn, and hit the ground running in 27.
Yeah, learn from Bryce. I don't know that's. I mean, I know I'm being mean. I'm being mean toward Bryce Young, but it's kind of iffy waters. Diesel, let's do this in the very next segment. We all love a good Cinderella, and yesterday we mentioned, some potential Cinderellas for this tournament. But let's, in the very next segment, rank you, me, the Tolos, rank the best Cinderellas over the past couple of decades. Which Cinderella do you put at the top tournament, Tolos? Go ahead and get those answers in. 844-326-3663. And a reminder, 1 hour from now, we'll be joined by Dawn Staley, head basketball coach of the Lady Gamecocks at 5 p.m. Well, who's going to be this year's Cinderella? Is there going to be a Cinderella this year? Are we starting to phase out of Cinderellas? You remember last year, Diesel, there weren't quite as many Cinderella stories in the tournament. And we asked the question was, has NIL, has the transfer portal made this landscape different now in the postseason when it comes to a team making a remarkable run? We all love those Cinderella stories. We're not going to prognosticate here and talk about which teams could make a run, but I do want to look back, Diesel, at the best Cinderella stories of all time.
Isn't it sort of antithetical to say we expect more Cinderellas? Because is it the whole nature of a Cinderella is it's unexpected? We can't predict when Cinderellas are going to happen.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
Supposed to. And it's just tough now. Like last year, I mean, I like more blue bloods. Of course, I like a Cinderella and a surprise, just like we all do, a bracket buster. But I want to see the best teams playing when it's all said and done. But
what's the perfect number of Cinderella teams? Being, I don't know,
making a deep run.
Small teams that make it to the Sweet 16. Can you be a Cinderella if you make it to the 16, or do you have to get to the Elite 8 to be a Cinderella?
I think you can be a Cinderella, depending on who you are.
I'd say 1, 2 a year. Somebody unexpected making it in.
I don't know. Did you ever see the movie Cinderella?
Yeah, the one with the slipper and the carriage made out of an onion.
Yeah. Is this it? Is this good Cinderella music here? How about this? Does this feel like a Cinderella to you?
Sure. Yeah, it feels like I feel like a Disney princess. Do you?
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. As we talk Cinderella, we need Jim Nantz. Jim Nantz's voice right here behind this soundtrack would be spectacular. Hello, friends. Right? It would be. But it's a little Cinderella conversation. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw a lot at you. You, Diesel, and the Tolos. And I'm going to just project all of these different Cinderellas in your direction. And I want you to type them down, write them down. If you have a feather and ink, that's fine too. Figure out which one of these land near the top for you. So let's start. In 2006, Diesel, the number 11 seed George Mason Patriots.
That was 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
God.
We all remember George Mason making a run.
That means we got college seniors at George Mason who weren't alive when George Mason did this.
2006.
Gosh.
Now, this one's I'm going to throw a lot at you, but this one's pretty notable here. Tolos, Diesel, they played in the Final Four. Yeah. They lost to the 3 seed Florida in 2006. But who'd they beat on the way there? 6 seed Michigan State, 3 seed North Carolina Tar Heels, 7 seed Wichita State Shockers, and the 1 seed UConn Huskies. That resume right there in itself is as strong as a resume as I think we'll find. So mark that down, put that in your memory. The 2006 George Mason Patriots. You've got that banked? Diesel, we fast forward 2 years to 2008. And we all remember this one. The 2008 10 seed Davidson Wildcats. Now, this guy that played for Davidson turned out to be a pretty good professional athlete, as you know, in Steph Curry. But Davidson and Steph Curry reached the Elite 8, Diesel, as a number 10 seed in 2008. They lost in the Elite 8 to Kansas, but on the way there, they defeated number 7 Gonzaga, the 2 seed Georgetown, and the 3 seed Wisconsin Badgers, again led by a young man at the time named Steph Curry. You've heard that name?
Yeah, pretty good golfer, I've heard.
Pretty good. He is, no lie. He's a good golfer.
Had his own TV show. God, I miss Holy Moly. That was a great show.
He is a really good golfer.
So they came out of Davidson was the what seed that year?
They were. Davidson was the let's see. They were the 10 seed.
10 seed.
So where would you compare the 10 seed Davidson in 08 versus the 11 seed George Mason Patriots in 06? Who wins that one?
Here's the thing about being an 11 seed. You're going to have to face a number 1 seed to advance. All these 11s. You go back to 2022 2011 VCU, they had to beat a number 1 Kansas.
Yeah.
2006 George Mason, they had to beat a number 1 UConn.
Yep. That's impressive.
2018 Loyola Chicago, they beat a number 1 seed along their way. It's always hardest to me to beat a 1 seed. These are all impressive.
Yeah.
It's like comparing which one of your children you love the most. They're all impressive. But
Unless
to me,
you're Dewey.
I still think I think Dewey had to wear a helmet as a kid.
Yes.
Keep everything stuffed inside.
Yes.
I would say 06 George Mason still more impressive.
Yeah, me too.
A 6, a 3, and a 1 en route to the Final Four. That's
who they
huge.
beat? Again, Michigan State, North Carolina, Wichita State, UConn. I'm with you. So you're not knocking off George Mason with Davidson.
No,
right now,
no.
Right now, George Mason's still at the top of the pedestal.
Top of the list.
All right. Can I present to you, I think you just mentioned, the 11 seed VCU Rams 2011, talking about the greatest Cinderella stories ever, Diesel. VCU in 2011 lost in the Final Four to the 8 seed Butler Bulldogs. They defeated the number 11 seed USC Trojans, number 6 seed Georgetown Hoyas, number 3 seed Purdue Boilermakers, and the number 11 seed Florida State Seminoles, and as you mentioned, the number 1 seed Jayhawks of Kansas. How does VCU, and by the way, Virginia Commonwealth University became the first team to go to the first final for the first to go from the first 4 to the Final Four. Remember that. First ever to go from the first 4 to the Final 4. That right there has a lot. They had
to win an extra game.
That's impressive.
En route.
So where does that one rank against George Mason for you?
Now you got VCU topping them.
You think so?
I think so.
Ooh.
I think so. I mean, again, both of them had to defeat 1 seeds. Both of them had to defeat blue bloods that are just perennially great teams. I think Kansas at the time probably had a little bit of a higher profile than did UConn. They've come on obviously in a big way since Danny Hurley took over, but I give VCU just a slight edge. 11 VCU, a slight edge over 06 George Mason.
Wow. This one's tough.
Slight. And it's because they had to win an extra game.
Okay, I am going to agree with you for that reason. The fact that they were the first 4 to Final Four. That to me right there is so far. They caught fire at the right time. Diesel, if you remember, they won 4 of those games by double digits. And coach, who Clemson fans was the head coach? The old Shaka Smart. Old Shaka Smart was the head coach at VCU in 2011. So I am going to agree with you. I'm moving VCU to the top for me. Tolos is VCU at the top of the list for you. Diesel has VCU at the top of his list.
Yeah, VCU's it now.
What about, may I present to you, in 2013, Diesel, the number 15 seeded Florida Gulf Coast, you know their mascot?
FGCU, they're birds.
Yes. Big, really,
Seahawks?
No, really big, like this pretty big, big.
Not the albatross.
No, pretty big.
Pterodactyls.
Eagles. Close. Close.
Pterodactyl's not a bird.
2013, Diesel, can this knock off VCU for you? I want to know. What'd they do? Well, I'm glad you asked. In 2013, they defeated number 2 seed Georgetown and number 7 seed San Diego State. They lost in the Sweet 16 to the number 3 seed Florida Gators. The high-flying Eagles, Diesel, in 2013 became the first number 15 seed to reach the Sweet 16 in tournament history. So what makes this impressive? They weren't eligible for the tournament until the year before, 2012. The first student was admitted at FGCU in 1997.
Oh, my gosh.
Yet it shocked Georgetown in the first round. And then, you have San Diego State. You're still dancing. Do you like what Florida Gulf Coast did? Can they top VCU for you?
God, they were one of the most impressive teams, beating the tar out of Georgetown and San Diego State. It is Dunk City. You can't not put that on a pedestal. But I mean, they got knocked out in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's right.
They got knocked out.
I was hoping
it's
you
a
were
great
gonna say
story. It's a great story, but they got knocked out.
That's right.
Results have to matter.
Yep.
Results over vibes.
No, I'm with you. So far, VCU still. Now, this one's going to make it tough on you a little bit. Let's get a little more recent. 2018. We all remember this one. We all remember Loyola Chicago, right? And the 98-year-old Catholic sister, right, that turned into a household name. Could VCU be knocked off the pedestal, Diesel, by Loyola Chicago, who ended up losing in the Final Four to the 3-seeded Michigan Wolverines? But on the way there, what did they do? They defeated the number 6 seed Miami Hurricanes, the number 3 seed Tennessee Volunteers, the number 7 seed Nevada Wolfpack, and the number 9 seed Kansas State Wildcats. Just like VCU, lost in the Final Four. Where do you put Sister Jean here?
How can you not love Sister Jean?
Yeah.
Come on, that team was winning by 10 points a night in the tournament. They might move into the number 1 spot over VCU.
How do you separate them?
Yeah,
though? How do you separate them? They both lost in the Final Four. Loyola Chicago beat Miami, Tennessee, Nevada, and Kansas State. VCU, if you remember, beat USC, Georgetown, Purdue, Florida State, and Kansas.
It's hard to not helmet scout a little bit there, right? I mean, the opponents that VCU beat sound more impressive than the opponents that Loyola Chicago beat.
And they played an extra game. VCU still not number 1 for me.
Yeah, so I'm very comfortable moving Loyola to the number 2 spot.
Me too. I don't have a problem with that. 2018, I just can't put them 1, Diesel. I can't put them 1. You won 5. You had to play that 5th game. That's impressive.
If we're debating number 2, then Loyola Chicago 2018 versus 06 George Mason. If we're going to seed these.
George Mason was good. They were really good. They beat UConn, 1 seed.
UConn, Michigan State, North Carolina.
Did Loyola beat a 1 seed? No.
I think Loyola's 3, right? They didn't beat a 1 seed.
No. That matters, man. That matters. Beating a 1 seed means a lot. I think right now would be VCU 1. Just my list. VCU 1, George Mason 2, Loyola Chicago 3.
I got no problem with that.
Okay. What about the St. Peter?
Peacocks.
In 2022, just a few years ago. Now, they lost in the Elite 8 to number 8 North Carolina, but they defeated the number 2 seed Kentucky Wildcats, number 7 seed Murray State Racers, and number 3 seed Purdue. St. Peter's was magical. If you remember, no wins heading into that matchup against Kentucky. However, 19-11 record. They were coming off the MAAC. Is that right? I think that's their conference. Anyways, they had a 7-game win streak at the time. Really good basketball team. They were hot, but nobody knew who St. Peter's was.
Yeah.
And then they shot Kentucky in the first round. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, whoa, St. Peter's, right? They won 2 more or reached the Elite 8. They were really good that year. I just don't know where they rank compared to the top 3 you and I already have.
I think they would be number 1 in my heart if I'm going just off of mascots.
Oh, you like the Peacocks?
Peacocks, great mascot. That was the mascot of the college team where Will and Carlton went on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No, it wasn't really.
Some school in L.A. So I've always loved a mascot, the Peacocks.
And what was that kid's name with the mustache? That kid was so good, man. That he was just balling out that year. He was the dude. And I can't remember his name. He was number 25. I know that. Doug Eddert. You remember that name, Doug Eddert.
Vaguely.
He was phenomenal for St. Peter's. Phenomenal.
I do remember, not to say that they didn't bring this up in other years as well, but I do remember the story being just how much merch the St. Peter's Peacocks sold.
Yeah.
After that victory over Kentucky. I mean, they were talking about people from all over the country sending in orders for St. Peter's gear. It was everywhere.
Let me ask you this. I like our top three. Could I throw an old one at you? 1985, before I was born, Diesel, Villanova, and 1985.
I was 1?
You were 1 year old?
Yeah.
They were the 8th seed, the lowest of any national title winner to this day, from the 8 to the national championship. Can I interest you in Villanova? They entered the NCAA tournament with a 19-10 record. They didn't win any of their first 3 March Madness games by more than 5.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just squeaking by, and just squeaking by. But they hung the banner in 1985. That's pretty impressive, right? Winning it all as an 8 seed.
Chips matter. Chips matter. I'll bet you before that, and maybe some of our older Tolos will know the answer to this question. Villanova was probably not a household name before that. I mean, that is the thing that put Villanova on the map.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
just
they're in a big
off of
city and, Big East team, sure, but come on. They didn't have –
Well,
and that, I would put it above the 2011 VCU only because 2011 VCU was a really good team overall that season anyway.
right. And you were just a few years prior, like 5-6 years prior, you had just come off of that, 10-game streak with UCLA, not 10-year streak with UCLA winning 10 national championships in a row. What was that, 60s, 70s? So, to your point, you didn't have an opportunity to be a household name. That's pretty impressive, though. Pretty impressive.
85 was the tournament. Tournament would still been 32 teams at the time,
I think
right?
so.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, one less, but still, chips matter.
No, they do.
So I give it 85 Villanova, 2011 VCU, 06 George Mason, 2018 Loyola Chicago, and 2022 St. Peter's.
I like that. I like that a lot, but I would also add, I have to add, what do you call it under the notable or we're going to just notate 2008 Davidson, because Steph Curry, what they did, Diesel, they burst onto the scene. He burst onto the scene in that tournament. What's so impressive about that is going into that 2008 tournament, Diesel, Davidson hadn't won a game in the dance since 1969.
Woo.
So 1969 to 2008.
49 years.
That's how long it had been since Davidson won a tournament game, and they did because of a guy named Steph Curry. I saw Steph Curry play in person. Really? I was young. It was at Wofford College. It was the old Wofford Gymnasium, and I remember being there, and there was no room in the gymnasium whatsoever, like shoulder to shoulder, standing room only. Again, I was young, but Steph Curry came to Wofford. Davidson played at Wofford, and that crowd that night was unbelievable at Wofford College in the old gymnasium. So there you have it.
Huge.
There's your Cinderellas. You like that?
I love it. I love it, Cole. When we come back, let's talk NCAA tournament action, SEC tournament action with a good friend of the show, Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. She has been embedded on location all day. Down at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. She has witnessed the first couple of games. We had a chance to catch up with her earlier today because timing and scheduling was difficult as she's so busy down there, but we appreciated her time jumping on with us earlier today. We're going to bring that to you next, right here on The Fan Upstate.
More fired up than your group chat after a blown call. This is Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel on The Fan Upstate.
Tolos, raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm not excited about it either. So maybe you have ongoing joint pain from old sports injuries or just the daily wear and tear of your job. It can take you away from doing the things that you love. Well, that's what QC Kinetics is all about. QC Kinetics patients are finding real relief, feeling younger, and getting back to on Friday, talking about it with Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. Lulu, as you've spent time downtown earlier today, I haven't been down there yet. What's the vibe like? Can you give us a check? Are there logos walking around all over downtown Greenville? What are you seeing?
I think it's spread out a little bit. It's definitely exciting. I think a lot of people, last year was my first tournament, and I think there was really great energy from the jump, and I'm seeing a lot of that already this year, and I'm very excited for all that, this tournament will bring to the area. And, I heard a lot of people, different journalists from, way outside South Carolina that were really pleased with all Greenville had to offer. So I'm hopeful that it'll be like that again this year for sure.
Lulu, with that being said, the positive feedback that you're talking about there, is that something that you think will keep this tournament in Greenville from years to come? I mean, I've remember last year, some of the analysts on ESPN were talking about how awesome it was. Do you think Greenville's in jeopardy of maybe losing it over the next few years, or do you feel like it's safe here?
Well, I think it's a complicated thing because I do think a lot of coaches complain about the fact that it's, close to South Carolina's, home arena. And I think that, Kim Mulkey, I believe it was, that made a good point the other day. That was just like, someone else has to bid on it. Like, don't complain. Somebody else needs to step up. It's, we don't want to keep having the tournament in Greenville. So I don't know if it's necessarily in jeopardy for reasons other than people who feel really strongly that South Carolina shouldn't get what they call a home court advantage. But the reality is South Carolina fans have proven they'll travel literally anywhere. And so I don't think that element will completely go away if they move the tournament. But you're right. ESPN analysts, like everybody loved it.
Yeah, Lulu, I'm sure those coaches complaining like Vic Schaefer have no desire to move the SEC women's tournament closer to their home states. They would never have those kinds of ulterior motives. I do wonder, though, and you reposted a graphic earlier today from Primetime Mitch on Twitter, South Carolina women's basketball, the most watched team in America. Do you think that there's any subtle nod from the conference wanting to put this thing in the state of the team that gets the most eyeballs?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know fully, all that goes into it. And obviously I only know tournaments in Greenville. I wasn't here when they were in different locations. And so, but I think overall that like committees and people who work on scheduling games that want to draw audiences, like you can't run from the fact that South Carolina has a really large fan base. And I don't think that in any way people try to give South Carolina the advantage by, that element. I don't think it's unfair. I just think like Dawn Staley built something really special. And when I was in Vegas, last year to start the 24-25 season, it felt like a home game, and that was across the country. And so I think that the reason why maybe Dawn is, sort of tired of people asking her about, how do you feel about the tournament being in Greenville? She's like, there's no right answer for me to say, because if I acknowledge that I like it just for the, the area alone, it's going to be like, oh, okay, South Carolina's close by. But if I don't like it, it's a difficult situation for sure. But I do think that regardless, everybody knows no matter where you play South Carolina, there's going to be fans. And I think even like we saw in that graphic, like everyone's watching South Carolina on TV and in person.
We're talking to Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News, live in Greenville for the SEC Women's Tournament. Lulu, outside of South Carolina, what do you think the biggest storyline is, or storylines are, outside of the Gamecocks as this tournament begins today in Greenville?
I definitely think Vanderbilt is probably one. There's a pretty good chance that the world is going to get a Vanderbilt-Texas rematch, and that was a game that Texas really did not play well. And lost by, a good chunk. And I think that was the game that Vic Schaefer said, his team has no heart. And that sort of was like, whoa, you're saying that about a really talented Texas team. And I'm curious that I think this Vanderbilt team is absolutely legit, but obviously it's way different playing as a 2 seed than it is a 7 seed, which I think they were last year. So I would say anything revolving Vanderbilt, Texas, those teams. I'm curious to see if Georgia can sort of make a run, but this is probably going to be one of the best tournaments in years, I'd argue, just given the fact that honestly, pretty much every team is really talented and capable of doing a lot.
Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News, obviously with the format being what it is, the double bye, Dawn's team's going to get a couple of extra days to rest up before they got to face tough opponents. Now, it's obviously a different format from what they deal with on a weekly basis, 2 games a week, couple days in between each game. Going into this new format where they could be playing back-to-back-to-back days, how healthy are they? What's the injury situation with these Lady Gamecocks?
Yeah, I would not expect Adele Tack to be playing. Dawn, I know, is meeting with media later today, and I'll get the reports from other people based on that and any updated injuries. Luckily, knock on wood for Dawn, it seemed like they were turning a more positive corner heading into the final game against Kentucky. But exactly to your point, this is a team that's really struggled with injuries and struggled to stay healthy. And it's a lot different to, last year they had the number 1 bench in the country and they had a lot of depth. And, they have the talent on their bench this year, just the numbers wise hasn't been as consistent in terms of who's just been available. And so I think this tournament, South Carolina's, arguably the most talented team. They won the regular season by, 2 games, which is incredibly difficult to do given the talent in the SEC this year. But exactly like you brought up, it's tricky because you don't fully know how healthy this team is going to stay. But at the moment, at least things look positive, and I would anticipate that, based on everything I know, Adele Tack is sort of the one that, I would not expect her to suit up on, Friday.
Lulu, a little bit of a format breaker here, taking you inside a conversation that Diesel and I had on the show yesterday. I wanted to get your thoughts. Diesel asked the question to the audience in terms of their opinion on who the face of the Carolinas was from a sports perspective. And we narrowed it down to 3 people. It was Dabo, Michael Jordan, and Dawn Staley. Obviously, Michael's ties to NASCAR being in North Carolina and having played at North Carolina, and Dawn and Dabo for obvious reasons being the face of the sport. I want to get your thoughts on who the face of the sport, or who the face of the Carolinas is, rather, when it comes to sports. Do you like those 3? How would you order those 3? Or is there somebody else that you think maybe we're leaving off?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think if you asked Dawn Staley that, she would tell you to never put her above Michael Jordan on any lists. I think that it's fair to pay respect to those who came before you. And I think that in a lot of ways, Dawn Staley would acknowledge all that Michael Jordan has done. I would probably, if I'm going based on your list, put him at the top, put Dawn number 2 and Dabo 3. But I don't know. I also my opinion is so different because I didn't grow up around here. And so from the outside, you can't deny that the first 2 just had a little bit more of an out-of-state impact. Like, obviously, I knew about Clemson football, but the reach that Michael Jordan and Dawn had was just a little further out.
Yeah, Lulu, Dawn is everywhere right now. She's in Aflac commercials with Nick Saban and Deion Sanders. That's entering a whole new stratosphere of being a recognizable face for sports here in the Carolinas. I want to flip over to the football field here for just a second. Josiah Thompson injured. The news came out yesterday he was going to miss the season. What's the latest on his injury? Do we know what it is?
No, we have not. It's, not surprising from the Shane Beamer element and the fact that he protects his players in that way. He very rarely gives details with injuries. He sort of made a comment when we asked for just a little bit more detail, something along the lines of I don't want to air out Josiah's business, things like that. Do I think that we'll get to the bottom of it, in the next couple of days? I don't know. I think there's a reason, especially why something like this, it's serious. It's something that requires surgery. And so I think that I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit more buttoned up. But that's all to say it's obviously a loss, and Shane acknowledged that. Losing Peak temporarily, Shane is very hopeful that Jacarius Peak will be back for at least September, but pretty much ruled him out for the spring and a bit of the summer. It's difficult to look at sort of what South Carolina's options are at tackle right now, but when you bring Darius Gray in this summer, things will change in that regard. But from an experience standpoint, there's no denying the fact that losing Josiah Thompson takes a bite out of what you have on your offensive line just in terms of snap count.
Lulu, you said it, and you're probably right. The details probably somehow, some way will make their way out, but I'm a little confused here. Today was the first day of spring practice. I mean, We've already seen one off the field injury. I'm not asking you to speculate in any way, shape, or form, but is it possible that this was kind of off the field as well? Do you know anything about that?
So Shane basically specified that this was, sorry, I should have explained this earlier, but basically from our understanding, Shane explained that this is an injury that Josiah has had for a couple years now. It's something going back to high school. He's sort of played through it in some ways, but they knew for at least a year, or at least had talked about last year, that like when they actually had to address the injury, it would require surgery that would likely keep him out all season. So I think it was almost more of a matter of, okay, when do we do the surgery, rather than an offensive lineman who randomly fell down the stairs and got hurt in January. Like it wasn't as sort of Pete's basketball injury. That was pretty random. But I think this is something that has been bothering him for a while, and they figured, okay, now is the best time, because the longer, I don't want to put words in Shane's mouth, but to sort of get a vibe, like sort of the longer they waited, the longer it would, you know, I guess the bigger the chance it might affect him like long term, because Shane kind of kept emphasizing like we want him to have a career beyond just South Carolina. So I think it was just the time that everybody decided to do the surgery.
Jumping back to the SEC women's tournament conversation, South Carolina, again, going to face a pool of Arkansas, Kentucky, and Georgia. They played Arkansas and Georgia earlier this season, handled them fairly easily, but just a couple of days ago, had a bit of a tough time, only a 4-point win on the road at Kentucky. Of those three, who would you say Dawn and Gamecock fans least likely want to see on the other side of that court?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kentucky would probably be the easy answer. I mean, South Carolina beat Kentucky by 4, but as Dawn said, you know, yeah, we only scored 60, but we also held them to 56 points. Like, South Carolina's defense has been exceptional throughout the regular season, and if that carries over, I think that will really push through. And I think they're like third in the country in field goal percentage, or at least were towards the end of the season. Kentucky's a difficult matchup because of Clara Strack. I think she's one of the best centers in the country. Has a turnaround jumper that just is impossible to stop. And Medina Okot scored 21 and had 13. And I think Clara had like 24 and 9. So it was really just those two kind of going like bar for bar for most of the Kentucky game. And South Carolina's bench, I don't think had a single point. So I think matchup wise, you just don't want to give an angry Kentucky a second chance. Kentucky had a chance to win that game and didn't score in the last 2 minutes. And so I think if you're South Carolina, even though Georgia has played better since South Carolina played them and Georgia took down Vanderbilt, and they're a really good team, if we're looking at sort of personnel, I'd argue that South Carolina would probably want Georgia or Arkansas and try to avoid Kentucky, because they're a pretty dangerous lower seed.
Lulu, last question for you. When you look at this, the totality, obviously in a tournament like this, anything can happen. How do you see it playing out with a few of those teams you just mentioned? South Carolina definitely rounding into form toward the end of the season this year. Do you see them again on Sunday hoisting the trophy? How do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think if you're South Carolina, I've said this before, and maybe I'm wrong in my opinion, but I think if you're South Carolina and you want to pick up you want to do the most impressive thing, it would be beating Vanderbilt in the championship on Sunday. And I say that because a lot of people feel like the only reason South Carolina beat Vanderbilt on the 25th was because they lost to Oklahoma, and it was fresh off a loss. And a lot of people think that it was sort of like an anomaly for Vandy. And so I think you have a lot to prove there. This is a really, really talented Vanderbilt team. I also think if you're South Carolina, you want to avoid Texas, just because if you lose to Texas, then you have the, 2-1. You're down. Right now you're tied with Texas. You went 1-1 this year, and you don't want to be down 1-2 to them on the season. I would not be surprised if it's, what sort of the top 4 seeds are, which is, I think that South Carolina, LSU, Texas, and Vandy have a good chance of all playing on Saturday. But I also would not be surprised if in Oklahoma, took it close to LSU and somehow upset them. So I think in some ways it'll play out exactly how people think. But I think South Carolina, this will be their most difficult run to Sunday if they're able to do that again.
Lulu Kesson, you're a wordsmith, far more accomplished than either Cole or I. What one word would you use to describe
the vibe around this South Carolina women's team coming into this tournament? Would you say it is focused, determined, angry, nervous? What would you say?
Ooh, I guess I would focused or battle tested. Like, this team knows what they did this year. I think that angry, I think hungry would be more than angry. I think Raven Johnson doesn't want to fail to host. You know, she's sort of been this anchor for this team, and I think she refuses to not leave Greenville on Sunday with the trophy. And I think that she will be very, very hungry for that.
Lulu, you're the best. Appreciate you as always taking time today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sure thing. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your week.
You too. That's Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. Great stuff from Lulu. Always appreciate her time. And check her out on Twitter, on X, if you haven't done so already, at Lulu Kesson. She's the best, and she'll have great coverage all weekend long from Greenville. And you Gamecock fans, if you're going out, I'll be there a couple of times this weekend as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got to get into our top headlines. It's the Daily Wires next, right here on the Fan Upstate.
Always streaming on the free. Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Diesel, I wish we had a segment where we could get to all of the headlines in one segment. Be nice, right?
Oh, we do.
Oh, we do. It's
do.
called the Daily Wires. It's the buzz that's happening in the sports world. Clemson last night fell to North Carolina by a score of 67-63. Tigers now 21-9 on the season and 11-6 in the ACC. Tough one last night.
Yeah.
And as Dewey said, they should have won that game. I actually agree with Dewey. I do.
They were right there. Just
They
didn't
had
have the clutch shooting down the stretch.
It's like the old commercial. What commercial was that where the old man had the fishing rod? You almost had it. You almost had
Gotta
it.
be quicker than that.
You got to be quicker than that. South Carolina also fell last night, but they didn't almost have it. It was 78-59. Again, I'm not trying to be funny. They fell to Tennessee. Tennessee's a lot better. Everybody's a lot better. Gamecocks Diesel now 12-18 on the season and a 3-14 record in SEC play.
Tennessee more than tripled the spread in that game.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said yesterday.
8.5.
Just take my money.
They beat them by 29 on an 8.5 point spread game.
That's bad. No head-to-head top 25 action tonight, but Texas at number 20, 21-8 Arkansas. Also Miami, who's top 25, number 22 at 19-10 SMU. Mustangs favored by 1.5 at home. Clemson, Diesel, and Michigan State will do battle in just over an hour right here in Greenville. Floor filled. Tigers looking for their 11th win. We've got SEC women's tournament just down the road. We got Clemson and Michigan State. What a time to be a native of Greenville, right?
I'm telling you.
It's busy.
I've heard the owner of the Drive is a Michigan State alum. That's why he always brings Michigan
every
State down here.
Every year.
We need to get really rich and have our own stadiums. So we can do the same with our
be nice.
alma maters.
Be really nice. Also want to remind you, Tolos, 11 minutes from right now, Dawn Staley will join the show. If you're a Gamecock fan, make sure you turn it on and leave it on. South Carolina Diesel held their first spring practice today down in Columbia. Speaking of South Carolina, baseball defeated USC Upstate on Tuesday by a score of 12-3. Palminteri and the Gamecocks now 8-5 on the season. They're right back in action tonight, hosting Charleston Southern at 6:30. We'll see if they can keep their winning ways.
Turning this thing around.
That's true.
Better stack as many wins as you can now.
You got to win the midweeks. You got to win the midweeks. Oklahoma continued a hot run of recruiting in the 2027 cycle on Tuesday with a commitment from Cooper Witten. You might know that last name, son of former NFL All-Pro Jason Witten. How about that?
Fairly good player.
Fairly good. In Lexington, Kentucky, Mitch Barnhart, the longest-serving AD in the SEC, has announced he will retire. How about that? So, a new AD coming to Lexington. In Oxford, Peter Suter scored 19 points. Antoine Woolfolk scored 14. And number 19, Miami of Ohio, Diesel close to within a victory of a perfect regular season after a 74-72 win over Toledo on Tuesday.
Toledo's a good team.
Yeah, it's close.
Not
Close
an elite
game.
team, but they're good.
But as of just a 2-point, I got nervous there for a little bit. Red Hawks 17-0 in the Mid-American Conference remain the only undefeated team in men's Division I basketball. I love that. They're only the fourth team in the past 35 years to start 30-0, by the way.
But they're not a tournament team.
No,
Bruce Pearl says so.
No, they're not good enough. They're just not good enough.
There's some great audio. We'll play at some point in the show later on today, Cole, of the head coach at Miami of Ohio, Travis Steele, saying, I like Bruce. Bruce is a great guy, but I'm not calling him to ask him advice on how to run my team.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Now, a little NFL news for you. Dallas reworked contracts with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, clearing nearly $66 million in cap space, now putting the Cowboys under the $301.2 million NFL salary cap. Jerry Jones said at the combine the team will rework deals with Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, and Osa Odigizua as well. Trey Hendrickson's time in Cincinnati will come to an end as the Bengals choose not to franchise tag him before the 4 p.m. deadline. He is now a free agent, Carolina. Hey, Charlotte. Hey, Dante.
We're going to go through that all over again for another year with the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson. Thank God.
Yes. Drew Dalman, the Bears center, who was instrumental in Caleb Wilson's growth, calling out protections for Chicago last season, will retire at age, listen, Ryan, 27.
Yeah.
Can I retire?
His dad was in the NFL too, and his dad retired fairly young.
Jeez. How about this? Our Charlotte Hornets whooped the Mavericks last night, 117 to 90. And now they are 500 on the season for the first time since Game 4 and 14 BC. And Diesel, they'll try to hold this momentum tonight at Boston.
Oh, yeah.
That
might be dropping back below 500 again.
Yeah, celebrate while you can. Jurickson Profar, the Braves MLB released that he tested positive for exogenia. What is this? Exogenous testosterone? Did I pronounce that right? Exogenous?
I think,
and it's metabolites.
Metabolites.
What does that even mean?
Just testosterone from another source, not from himself.
So he was taking illegal substances.
Yeah.
That's all that's what it translates to me.
Apparently the substances that he took are detrimental to your reproductive health.
Oh.
So I don't think it's worth it, to be honest.
No. He'll forfeit the entirety of his $15 million salary and eligible for the postseason, of course, and the World Base. It should just cut him. Speaking of the World Baseball Classic, pool play begins today with Chinese taking on Australia, 10 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Team USA in Pool B will begin on Friday at 8 p.m. taking on Brazil. The NFL announced today that the Carolina Panthers will play in the NFL Hall of Fame game, Diesel, in Kenton, Ohio, against the Cardinals.
Oh.
Yeah,
without
August 6th.
Kyler Murray.
Winnable game, baby. Last one. This is bad. I don't like this, but he was in hospice for a while. Lou Holtz passed away, Diesel, today at the age of 89. National championship with Notre Dame in 88. Obviously, just sad news. Lou Holtz is a legend of the game, Diesel.
Yes, he is instrumental in bringing South Carolina's football program back to respectability. When he was there in Columbia. When we come back, Cole, this is the get of all gets, and we love having her on every time we do, even though we don't have her on as much as we'd like to. Dawn Staley, the head basketball coach of the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks, who's going to be bringing her team up here to Greenville to try to take home another SEC Women's Championship. Dawn Staley going to join us next right here on the Fan Upstate.
Upstate.
Still a couple of days until we see the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks on the court here in Greenville, South Carolina, but we know that they are en route as we speak up the road to Greenville, and we're joined right now by Dawn Staley, the head basketball coach of the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks, here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Coach, this is Diesel here. Good to talk to you again. It's been a while. How does matchup preparation, what does it look like for you when right now you still don't know who your opponent is going to be? You know it's either Kentucky or Georgia. So how do you dedicate the time that you split between those two teams, or do you just sort of play the odds of who you think you might face?
No, well, we just played Kentucky on Sunday, so they're fresh in our minds. Haven't played Georgia in quite some time, couple of weeks, but we split the film session today prior to practice, so we're giving both equal amount of time, and then you just gotta, for us, we just have to the top 3 or 4 plays that we'll go over tomorrow in our practice, and then then it's just time to play it. Sometimes you go into games, not being able, especially tournament time, not being able to fully prep like you would normally prep. But our players are up for the challenge, and you can't forget they also have to prep for you, so they actually have less time to prep for you, when they're playing and then having to play the next day. So I think it's we're all at a disadvantage at some point, but the players are going to be the ones that actually make the plays when it's time to make the plays on both sides.
Yeah. Coach, it's Cole here. You're not as much at a disadvantage as Vic Schaefer is, though, here in a couple of days. Appreciate you hopping on with us, as always. Coach, sorry about that. I shouldn't have gone there, but I did. On a serious note, Coach, let me get your thoughts. I know there was a 4-year gap from the time that Coach Holtz left South Carolina to the time that you were hired in 2008, but we just got the news former Gamecock football coach Lou Holtz did pass away, his family released. Did you ever have any crossings? Like I said, there was a little bit of a gap there, but did you ever have any crossings, time spent with Coach Holtz?
Yeah, I never got a chance to meet Coach Holtz. I mean, obviously they talk so extremely well about him and what he did to our Gamecocks, and prayers up to his family. I hope his soul is resting, in peace. And I know that we all, even if we didn't have a lot of contact with him, know his legacy here in Gamecock country, and we feel bad. Hopefully he'll send down some Gamecock love from above.
Yeah, it's a tragic passing. I know a lot of us around here thought so very highly of Lou, and the job that he did bringing that football program back to respectability that allowed it to be what it was after him. It can never be forgotten there in Columbia. Coach, I'm sure you probably didn't see this, but kind of a weird situation at the Sun Belt Women's Tournament today. There was a brawl on the court, 8 players ejected, 7 of them off of one team, and a referee went down on the court. Can you talk to me about your evaluation process of emotional intelligence in those key situations? How do you look for it in a recruit, in somebody that you may be bringing in via the transfer portal? How do you make sure that they can keep their cool in those big time situations?
I mean, you really don't know. I mean, when it's competition on the line, I think we're all susceptible to crossing the line, and I don't think anybody goes into the game intentionally doing that. We had that, maybe 2 years ago at the SEC tournament where things got out of hand, and you try to control the controllables. I do think when you're in that type of situation, you really have to just educate. As much as you educate your team on don't leave the bench, control the controllables. Don't let, they're not robots. They're human beings, and things happen out there that are unexpected. It's the same type of discipline you need when things aren't going your way, and you can't put your team in that situation, because we did have a player that had to sit out an NCAA game, and she felt really, really bad. Like, she felt like it was her fault, and she was basically sticking up for a player. And it's we'll have to again educate our team that we have to exhibit self-control in those type of situations, no matter what's happening out there.
Coach, one of your players, Medina Okad, averaging 10.9 rebounds per game, leading the SEC. And legendary Tennessee coach Pat Summitt once said, offense sells tickets, defense wins games, rebounding wins championships. How does that hold true to what you preach day in and day out, and especially this weekend if you guys want to hoist another trophy on Sunday?
Yeah, I would never go against Coach Summitt and her prowess as the queen of this conference. I do think it's synonymous with winning not only SEC championships, tournament championships. It's synonymous with winning national championships. I think when we won our national championship, we were actually high in all of those areas. You have to be. Every national champion must rebound the basketball. That's the thing that you really can't control. You can control because it's not a skill. It's actually a decision. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And for us, we've been pretty good at it. And the times that we haven't had success, you can directly look at, what the rebounding advantage or disadvantage was.
Coach, around here, it's a bit of a slog sometimes to get our listeners invested in what I would call alternative sports. Our fans are NFL, college football, Gamecock basketball, college baseball, and not a whole lot else. But you having coached an Olympic team to a gold medal and winning a gold medal as well, how invested were you in the Winter Olympics and the men's and women's teams both winning gold in hockey? And did you feel any extra little bit of pride because you've lived through that yourself?
It's always pride, but I honestly did not watch a whole lot because we were right in the thick of, trying to secure another regular season SEC championship. And I didn't, I had to live vicariously through social media to keep up with everything. It's one-stop shopping when you're looking at social media. So I did keep up through that. But anytime that you participated in an Olympic game, even if you haven't, it does unite the country because you want your fellow Americans to do well and create history. And that's what our hockey teams were able to do.
Coach, a little bit of a format breaker here because these are the important questions the fans are dying to know. Your ladies are on the way now on the bus to Greenville, and this is a two-part question. If in a few minutes you guys are fortunate enough to stop at the Quick Trip or the 7-Eleven or the Circle K, I want to know, this is a two-part question here. What is Dawn Staley's go-to snack, candy, and drink? You get 3. Snack, candy, and drink. And then the second part is you've got one of the best associate ADs in the country in Diana Koval. What is Diana Koval's go-to snack, candy, and drink?
Well, I'm gonna go with mine.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna get I like cherry wine.
Ooh, that's good.
I like cherry wine. That's my drink, my snack when I'm out of season though, because I don't eat any fried food during the season.
Okay.
I won't get a Doritos.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
What flavor?
Probably my regular. Nacho. Just regular. I don't do the extra original. I want the original.
Okay.
No Cool Ranch.
Yeah.
No. Okay. And then my candy, hot cheese.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah. Mango.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Mango. I like that. What would Diana Koval get?
Diana, shit. I'm gonna say water. Right? I've never seen Diana snack.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I've never seen her snack. I would say some chips. I don't know what kind. She doesn't, Diana's probably some Lay's, plain Lay's. Candy, I don't even think she eats. I have never seen her eat candy.
Wow.
So I'm gonna tell her to get some hot shoes so she can give them to me.
Yes.
How about that?
I love it. I love it.
Well, now that we're deep in the weeds here, and I know that you're a Cheerwine fan now. What is your opinion on Cheerwine barbecue sauce? Because there was a restaurant across the street from our radio station for years that had Cheerwine barbecue sauce. I thought it was pretty good, but I was torn on it back and forth. Have you ever had the Cheerwine barbecue sauce?
Look, I don't even eat meat, so maybe it would have been nice on some salmon. I do eat seafood.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking it would kind of be nice on some salmon. Throw some hot honey on there. I think we got a combination of probably not what you were expecting, but could turn out pretty good.
I love it. I love it. Coach, I heard you talking about this in an interview not long ago, but there's so much made about Raven Johnson and what she can do on the court offensively, whether ball handling and obviously scoring the basketball as well. But there's just not enough emphasis put on what she can do defensively. And you've talked about this before as well in recent weeks. But when you look at her as a defender, what separates her from the other guards in the country in your mind defensively?
Well, truly, and I've watched this, for 5 years. The first year she didn't play, but the time that she played up until she got hurt. And then the next 4 years, Raven does not like when anyone scores on her. I'm talking, we got male practice squad called the Highlighters. She does not allow them to score on her. And when one of us, just gets so lucky that they score on her, it pisses her off. It pisses her off. She's a great communicator. Like, she's a super great communicator. She got long arms. People don't realize how much, length that she has in just her 5'9" frame. Like, she probably got 6'2" arm wingspan. She uses them. She's just really savvy. And it's not just her on ball, it's her off ball. It's her ability to time. Like, she gets block shots, jump shots. Like, it's hard to block a jump shot. But because she's able to keep someone in front of her, and she just plays with a love for defending. You had for her, and it's natural. Like, some people really have to work at defending. It's what she naturally does. And I'm not saying we emphasize that, but we do. But she came to us like that. She really, like, when I watched her in high school and AAU, she just was a menace out there on the floor on both sides of basketball.
Don, I look up and down the season that you've had, and a lot of wide point margin kind of games, a few games that got a little bit tight, but a lot of these games you've won fairly comfortably. Can you look back on this season a little bit? And I know it's not over. There's still a lot of work to do. But games that you won fairly comfortably, that you thought that other team just did something special against you that impressed you, even though you might have handled them fairly well.
I would probably say the Indy game, where just Michaela Blake is super special. Like, she finds a way to get to the free throw line. They spread you out, and they pretty much get the shots that they want to get. And you have to really stay locked in. Like, you gotta contest all shots, even though you may not be in the play. You may be 2 or 3 steps behind the play, but you have to throw your hand up. They're pretty efficient at what they do. And then they're pretty good at drawing fouls. And they were still able to do that. We just had a really good offensive day. Like, I think we allowed about 70 points from them. And we probably average giving up maybe about 55, something like that, 54. But they still got 15 over the average of what we give up. And I think we scored 100 points, but that's really unusual for us to do. But they were still, no matter how big the lead was, they still locked in and played for 40 minutes. Impressive.
Yeah. Coach, my last question for you. When you look at the depth that you guys can play with, is that something that you really pay attention to much when it comes to scouting a team for possibly a third time since you're going to see them in this tournament? Because, depth's important in any game, but especially in conference tournaments and for teams that having to play more games than your ladies are, that depth can be critical. But the depth that you guys have with Tornabees and others that you can throw at teams, do you feel like depth is something that from what you've scouted, and not only in past years but in this year as well, where you feel like your team has an advantage here in Greenville this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that when we won our national championships is because we had a lot of depth. I don't think this year we have the kind of offensive depth that we're used to. Because we're usually up there in the top 10 with scoring, bench production as far as scoring. But it's everything probably else besides scoring, meaning we got some long defenders, we got some pretty quick players who can actually just hold serve and create offense from our defense. We may not have like half court, set up, executed play. We may not have that fully developed as we like, but they really hold serve when they're put in the basketball game, and we really trust the fact that they can hold serve. And the more they hold serve, the better off in a tournament setting like this, where you could rest some of your starters and not play them heavy minutes, because if you're going to win a SEC tournament championship, from our vantage point, you gotta play 3 games, 3 tough opponents. So that is really important if you want to win, if you're going to win.
Well, Coach, the building says Bon Secours Wellness Arena on it, but it might as well say CLA North. Good luck to you and your team this weekend, and go get another title.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Always having me on.
Absolutely. Appreciate you as well. That's head coach Dawn Staley, the ladies head coach of the basketball team, the head coach of the ladies basketball team, if you will, Diesel. And she's a Cheerwine, High Chew, and Doritos kind of coach.
But regular Doritos? Come on, Coach. Everybody knows Cool Ranch is better.
See, I like both. I don't know if what's weird? I don't know if I have a preference on the two. One over the other. I think I'm good with both, the nacho cheese and the Cool Ranch.
Is it weird that I vehemently dislike regular Doritos?
It is weird.
I got a passion.
That's weird.
I have a passion
That's
against
really,
them.
really weird. But Cheerwine,
I love Cool Ranch.
And Cheerwine, oh, man.
Cheerwine,
when I go to Cookout, that's my go-to, Cheerwine.
Have you ever had Cheerwine barbecue sauce?
No.
Oh, it's good.
No, I try it.
It's sweet. It's cherry. It's so good.
Coach is the absolute best. I want to say thanks to Diana for always being the absolute best and hooking us up with Coach Staley on the week of the SEC championship. The last few years now, she's caught in on that bus ride up here to Greenville. So much appreciate her. And you know what? I think she's right. I know she's right, Diesel, but that depth, that she talked about there in that last answer, I think that's going to be big for them, especially when you talk about other teams that you're going to see similar depth. I know when you look at the statistics, like Tornabees and others are only averaging 4, 5, 6 points a game, but you look at those statistics, Diesel, and think, oh, well, they're not big scorers, but the Gamecocks have 4, 5, 6 players that are all averaging anywhere from 3 to 7 points per game. And I think for that reason, that they're going to be playing on Sunday. What would they play? LSU Saturday at 4:30, I believe. And I think they're going to be playing Sunday again, as Lulu said in the last segment, or last hour, rather.
Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a big-time showing. Obviously, for Gamecock fans, they're going to show out in a big way at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Cole, when we come back, let's shift our focus from the SEC women's tournament to the men's SoCon tournament. We'll bring on Chris Smith, who is the president of the Asheville-Buncombe Regional Sports Commission, next, right here on the Fan Upstate.
It's time to talk some SoCon basketball once again, and we go to the city of Asheville in North Carolina, where we bring on Chris Smith. He is the president, Asheville Sports. So much going on in the regional area, Buncombe, Asheville, North Carolina. Chris joined us last year. Chris, always appreciate you joining us again this year, man. How excited do you get each and every year for this event? Not only like the high-level basketball between the men's and the women's, but just the totality of the venue, the event, the fans. This is one of the events that I think is a marquee event in the Carolinas each and every year.
Cole, we're excited beyond belief. I mean, we do a lot of different events at the Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports Commission, but this one stands out. It was my first college basketball tournament that I attended as a kid back in 1984. Geez, that was a long time ago. And this is the 27th time that we've hosted it overall and the 15th consecutive. And, we're glad it's going to be around for years to come with the 10-year extension. So, we think it's the right place for the tournament. If you took a dartboard and you put up the SoCon map and you hit a bullseye, it would land in Asheville. We are the center of the conference's footprint. We love it. I think the venue's the right size. I think, the crowd gets going in there, and it doesn't take a packed house, although we like those, for it really to reverberate. And we saw that, no more than last year's final with Wofford and Furman, and, they may meet in the semis this year on the men's side. Who knows? But the building can get jumping. The city loves it. And I still contend that pound for pound, this is the best college basketball tournament in America. So, yeah, we're excited beyond belief, and let's do it. Tomorrow at 11, let's throw a ball up and get after it.
Chris, it's Diesel here. Thanks for joining us as you do every season. I'm a creature of habit. I want to turn on the same channel every week and see my teams play. And there are certain locations, certain cities where tournaments are just supposed to be. The ACC tournament is supposed to be in Greenville, and the SoCon tournament is supposed to be in Asheville. Now, I know that you're a kind fella, and you might not give us an edgy answer to this question, but can you tell us what other kind of upstart cities you guys had to ward off to keep a hold of this thing for another 10 years?
There were several, lots of people want this tournament in Eastern Tennessee and maybe even the upstate and other cities in North Carolina. We saw the tournament bounce around from time to time. It was here for 12 years. Then it went away for 12 years. And we don't think they found greener pastures, and that's why they came back. And this is the 15th consecutive year of that run. So, like I said, we think we're the right spot for this tournament, and they obviously do. With the extension of the deal. And, I know Ingles loves it. It is the Ingles Southern Conference basketball tournament, and they just signed an extension as well. So I think the tournament will be here for the foreseeable future, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing, Chris, but let me ask you this. For those listening in the upstate today, this afternoon, Anderson, Greenville, Spartanburg, and maybe somebody out there, I'm sure somebody out there listening that has yet to attend the Southern Conference men's basketball tournament in Asheville, what would you say to them, someone who hasn't been before? Why should they this weekend come watch Wofford, come watch Furman, come watch some of these other great teams participating, not only on the men's side, but the ladies' side as well?
Why not? I mean, you're going to get your money's worth. We think that we have a lot to offer on and off the court. There are all the ancillary events that are going on. Tomorrow night, the SoCon Hall of Fame is here for the first time. They're ushering in a great class that really speaks to the history of the conference. A coach like a Bob McKillop from Davidson, who had the fortune of coaching Steph Curry, is going in. Jackie Carson-Smith from the upstate is going in on the women's basketball side. Even an entire football team, the 2007 Appalachian State football team that upset Michigan in the Big House and went on to win a national championship. You can attend events like that. You can come to the Downtown Dribble, the Champion Credit Union Downtown Dribble on Saturday morning, where we have 1,000 kids that come out.
Wow.
They get a free basketball. They get a free T-shirt. I think they get a free rally towel from Ingles this year. We have inflatables down there. They get a free ticket to the noon session. Cheer teams, dance squads, bands down there, and playing off of each other, going back and forth. And then at 11:15, the kids dribble those basketballs, 1,000 of them. And let me tell you, that's a visual. right downtown Asheville, straight to the arena. And believe it, you'd think that would be just chaos, that there'd be balls rolling into drainage and things like that, but they're not. So maybe they learned a little something about ball handling where they're at the dribble. And it's just a great time for kids. And, tomorrow morning we have Education Day games at 11 o'clock. And then Friday we have Education Day games at 11 o'clock where you've got about 2,500 kids that come out, and they're going to go crazy when the score hits 6-7. So yeah, to those people that haven't come, especially those in the upstate, you're an hour away. Get up here, let us entertain you, and we think you'll want to come back.
Chris, can you talk about some of the additional events that Asheville has been able to draw because of the way this tournament has shown out in years past? Like, I remember that movie, The Butterfly Effect, and this begets that, and that begets that. So what has come of the great production that you guys have put on for this tournament for so many years?
It absolutely has led to other events. We never host the Maui Invitational without the success of SoCon basketball. And, that's when Maui couldn't host due to the governor of Hawaii not wanting anyone to come onto the island during COVID. So we hosted that, albeit in front of 0 fans. But they knew that we could, run a bubble safely and do proper protocols with testing. And it was quite the production, but we were able to pull it off. And that led to the Asheville Championship, which was a 3-year run that Clemson came up and won 2 years ago, and parlayed that onto a nice little NCAA run, which led to some neutral site basketball games that we did this year, as a new series of neutral site games sponsored by Ingles. And I think that we have had success in other events from this tournament, and it's the reason why we got the Southern Conference Volleyball Tournament. They entrusted in us being the first neutral site to ever host. That had always been on campus, and we saw record attendance last year with that, with the women's Ingles SoCon Volleyball Tournament. And that's a sport that's just going to grow like gangbusters, guys, because it was very well received here, and we know will grow and has led to some additional neutral site volleyball games on the college side. So I think we owe a lot to the Southern Conference tournament, and we just want to continue to make it better and better each year.
We're talking to Chris Smith, president of the Asheville-Buncombe Regional Sports Commission. For those out there that don't know, you mentioned it some right there, Chris. What other events, not only basketball and sports related, but do you guys do? What consumes your time throughout the course of the year when you're not gearing up for the SoCon tournament?
Oh, any and every sport. I come from the baseball world, minor league baseball, where I did the same thing for 24 years, and it was great. I mean, I'm a former college player and college coach, and I loved working in professional baseball at the Asheville Tourists, but this job keeps things fresh. We go from 2 weeks ago, we had a high school event here, a Nike Elite event that we had the number 1 team in America, Mount Verde, the number 12 team in America, Brewster Academy, number 16 team, La Luminaire. And we had college coaches galore for that Nike Elite event, and NBA executives. You look up and there's Trajan Langham from the Detroit Pistons, the president of the Pistons, and you look over and Shaka Smart's on a baseline, lots of other assistant coaches all over. But so we do high school basketball. We do gymnastics. We have an event that's the Gala Gymnastics. It's 16th, sponsored by Ingles. It's 1,600 female gymnasts from all over the Southeast that come to Asheville the first weekend in January, which is a slow time normally for us. So it's such a huge economic boom for our economy, as is the Southern Conference Basketball Tournament, to the tune of about $10 million. We own our own wrestling tournament, the Grapple, Smoky Mountain Grapple. Have lots of teams come from the upstate. They come up to wrestle in that. We have 47 teams from 6 different states. We've done professional tennis with Venus and Serena Williams. We've actually won the right to host the last 4 Davis Cups on the men's side, only for the Americans to draw an opponent they had to play overseas. So we will keep bidding on that. And we're told, hey, keep trying, guys. You're going to get it eventually. The USTA loves coming here. And it honestly, guys, it's anything and everything from ultimate races, cycling, cyclocross, you name it. We kind of do it all.
Chris, we've got a good relationship with the Hub City Spartanburgers baseball team down here, and we've got a great relationship with their GM who's always told us about some of the crazy promotional events he's had to put on in his career, one of them being a food fight night right before they had to play an early game the next day. Take me back to your history in minor league baseball. What was your favorite ever promotion you put together that, maybe got a little bit out of hand?
You beg, borrow, and steal in that world, and there are no original ideas. They're just ones that you take from other places. And, Asheville is the original home of Thirsty Thursday. We own the trademark here, and it was invented by a gentleman named Ron McKee. And, he also created Shirt Off Your Back Night, which everybody in the country did. He created the first trunk or treats. He was an innovator. He was kind of a Bill Veck type guy that, had a lot of ideas. And, I remember doing one, we did a diamond dig where we'd have, all the ladies in the crowd come out, and I had buried a diamond in the infield, and it was cubic zirconia because you didn't want to bury the real diamond, but whoever finds that diamond, they had spoons and they'd go out and dig, and you might say, hey, you're hot or you're cold, stuff like that. Well, the diamond went missing, so all of a sudden, I don't know if whether they were dragging the infield or a spike, or maybe one of the players saw us put it out there, and I don't know why the diamond went missing, but all of a sudden had to get real creative on the fly about a system. So I had cards of Teddy Tourist, our mascot, that he had signed, and I numbered them all in the back, however many women we had there. And we handed out all those cards, and it came down to, if you're holding, number 23, you've won. And that was the only fair way to do it. And so I remember that one sticks out for the wrong reason. The cubic zirconia went missing, but they're a lot of fun. And Thirsty Thursday was always kind of a night that in this town that people would circle, and it was a social gathering, if you will. But it's that world of minor league baseball. And the Spartanburgers did such a great job in their first year. They just knocked it out of the park, pun intended, and looking forward to their second edition.
Chris, is that your way of saying that there is a cubic zirconia hidden somewhere inside the arena and fans should be looking for it this weekend?
Never doing that one again. Never doing that one again. So I learned my lesson there. But, what we did do the promotion again. I'll be honest with you. But what we did is we had the kiddie pools. We had the plastic kiddie pools that we put out on the field full of sand. And the diamond was in one of those kiddie pools, and you got to pick which one you wanted to go dig in. So it was a contained dig. And, you live and learn.
Chris, that's awesome stuff, man. We appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you again on Monday as we'll be live from 3 to 7. And we look forward to seeing you and the turnout, as we know it's going to be a big one this weekend. Appreciate all you do and your team, and we'll see you on Monday.
All right, Cole, Diesel, thanks for giving us the opportunity to spread the word, and look forward to seeing you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Chris Smith, president of Asheville Buncombe Sports. I'll tell you what, man, there's a lot going on up there, and look forward to that, Diesel, on Monday. Again, for those Tolos that are going to be up there. And I know plans aren't made yet because a lot of Tolos out there are waiting to see who wins. Like last year was a dream scenario for upstate Tolos and upstate basketball fans because it was Wofford Furman on Monday night for the championship. Now, if you look at the bracket, I think he brought it up there. We won't see a Wofford Furman championship this year. We could see a Wofford Furman semis on Saturday, but we will not see Wofford and Furman on Monday night. So depending on who plays Monday, I know like if it's ETSU and let's say, Sam Smurfs or whoever, a lot of Tolos in the upstate might not want to go, but man, you should. A lot of good basketball all weekend long. Wofford and Furman both kicking off this weekend. And I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast to be up there on Monday. Looking forward to that. Cole, when we come back, we talked about this earlier, mentioned it in our Daily Wires. Really sad news that Lou Holtz unfortunately passed away. I don't know if it was earlier today or late yesterday, but his family released the information today. Passed away at the age of 89. So I want to hear from you, Cole. I want to hear from the Tolos as well. Is there a particular Lou Holtz moment that sticks out to you as special? One of those moments that you will remember forever of Coach Lou Holtz. We'll talk about that next right here on the Fan Upstates.
Fan Upstate.
On the stream, Blaylock's run on the stream says, my new name for the Fan Upstate Bracket Challenge, Tweedledee.
No, I don't know that he's talking about his
Tweedledum.
new name.
Yeah, he's talking about
I think he means the Fan Upstate.
you, me, your own. What do you name it? Because mine, Cole, is Don't Stop D-Leaving.
Yeah. I think he's saying the
Changed mine.
name of the bracket challenge should be Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Is that supposed to be funny? Am I supposed to what? I don't know. I'm not trying to be rude, but I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Too late.
Thanks. I mean, God.
The bracket challenge, by the way, if you want to join in,
yes.
Cole is
Good.
not going to
Yes.
rip you.
We need to get those. Let's see how many we have. Let me do a
those
check.
numbers up.
We're supposed to get 10 a day.
Yep.
Let me check. Let's refresh.
We have our
Ooh.
ESPN bracket challenge that you Tolos can be a part of. All you have to do is hit up our Facebook or our Twitter. There's a link to get in on both of those outlets, and you could text us at 844-326-3663. Ask for the bracket link, and we'll send it to you.
Got 19. So that means in order to hit our goal every day, we need one more today.
Dewey, get in there.
So yeah, wait, I don't think Dewey's in there yet. 10 a day is what we want, because if that holds, that'll get us to 100 or close to it when this thing starts, right? And that'd be awesome. So once you join, share it with your friends, family, get them in. Let's go head to head like we did in the Upset Picks Challenge. We have 19 as of right now. Let's get one more. And like Diesel said, text the show. I'll send you the link. We need one more today. Let's do 10 a day.
Logan on the text line says, yo, I'll take the link.
Well, bam.
Awesome.
Coming right at you, Logan.
Logan, what kind of, are you going to just be Logan S? I mean, that's fine if you want to just be Logan S, but do you have a fun?
I don't have one. I gotta
username?
think of a fun name. I gotta think.
What
of
can
one.
we do with Cole? What Cole rhyme
Well, there
with
are
bowl?
three
Soul?
other Coles in the group,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make fun of me, I guess, which I'm fine with. But I'm gonna come up with something. But Logan just sent the link to you. Share it with your friends, Tolos out there, and join the bracket challenge.
Can't wait.
So now we've got 10 a day. 10 today.
I'm not confident in my abilities to do well in this challenge.
I was top
'Cause that was
15
awful
last year, which was good. So that means that this year I'm going to finish at the bottom. If I was top 15 last year, I'm not going to do this. Not going to do good this year. I don't suspect.
Cole, the really sad news, if our Tolos haven't heard, especially for Gamecock fans, is that Lou Holtz, former South Carolina Gamecock football coach and national championship winning head coach, 1988 with Notre Dame, unfortunately passed away, Cole.
Yeah.
But that's a guy right there who lived life wide open. I absolutely loved Lou Holtz for I don't know why as a kid, maybe because I watched the movie Rudy. I sort of became a quasi Notre Dame fan, and I think Lou was still the head coach at the time or had just retired as the head coach. So I have like my childhood fandom of Lou as a coach because of that. But I love Lou Holtz most of all, Cole, because in 2007, when App State beat Michigan, all the pundits were just bagging on Michigan, said, "Oh, you can't do that. That's a terrible look. You were loaded with talent. You suck. You can't let this happen." And Lou Holtz said, "Guys, what are you talking about? This team just won back-to-back national championships. They're a really good 1AA football team, and they came into the big house and they flat out got after him." And he kind of shut Mark May down. And I love anybody that would shut Mark May down at the time. So I've got a personal affinity for Lou Holtz. Is there a particular Lou Holtz ism, event, anything that really kind of stood out to you as your favorite?
Well, what I liked most about him, obviously he was a good coach, but what I liked most about him down the stretch was the way that he was still number one involved in the sport from a media perspective, but the number two, Diesel, the way that he would jar, he would ruffle feathers, and I liked that. Him and Ryan Day had that big thing, right? You remember that? I like that. I think that was good for the sport. The reason I laughed as soon as you started talking about Lou Holtz is this was if you're watching the stream, this was the notification I just got on my phone. Botch job by ESPN.
Oh, goodness gracious.
They had to send in another alert after it goes to millions of people.
I've never seen them correct.
I haven't
their
either.
alerts.
I haven't either. But you can see it on the it says, correction, Lou Holtz won a 1988 national title, not 1998 as mentioned in the previous alert.
That's important. With no disrespect to the team that won the 98 national title. Who was, if you had to take a guess, I'm going to say it was Tennessee.
No, 98. Ooh, that's a good let me guess. Hold on.
Oh, I know the answer right now. I'm looking at it right now on my screen.
Not an ACC.
Mm-mm.
Not an SEC.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it was an SEC.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know then.
It was the Tennessee Volunteers.
No way. It wasn't really.
1998,
Okay.
13-0. They beat Florida State 23-16.
Wow.
In the inaugural BCS National Championship game.
My first guess was going to be Florida State, but I couldn't remember that they lost that one. So they lost
played in it. So you were close. You were close.
No, I love Lou, man. I hate that. I really do.
Lou Holtz being the prolific saliva producer that he was. I mean, it was just it was a joke.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
He was Daffy Duck, just spitting everywhere.
Lou? I love it, man. I hate
it flying.
I do hate it. It's sad. Sad news. But he was a good one, man. He really was. Diesel, let's get into some audio. We've got an audio blitz coming at you next.
Upstate.
You're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So's grass, so's a marriage, and so's a person. It doesn't have a thing to do with age, it has everything to do with you trying to accomplish something. Once you win a national championship, everybody has you on a pedestal. And then the only story is how you're not perfect. No matter what it is, we finished second in the country. Everybody called me an idiot. That idiot finished second. Guy finishes last in medical school, they call him doctor. That doesn't seem fair.
How about that to lead the audio blitz, man? You got to love Lou Holtz. That is a good one. That's a good one.
Could you
Call
imagine?
of doctors.
Like, I wish I could have seen Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier in a room together.
Oh, no.
Together, those two, unbelievable.
Yeah, welcome in.
Give him a podcast.
Woo, that'd been awesome, man. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Some audio blitz for you here in hour number 4 of the show. I want to say thanks to Dan Scott, Lulu Kesson, who you'll hear in the next segment, and Dawn Staley, and Chris Smith. My gosh. Loaded show today. But some good audio here. That was good. I really like that. How about this one? Don't forget what he said, taking some shots at the 3-lettered school, Diesel. I don't know if you've ever heard this. You probably have. How about this Lou Holtz audio? This is gold.
USC stands for University of Spoiled Children. And most of the football players chose USC over UCLA because it's easier to spell. The third thing I want you to do, and the last thing, I want you to go tell Southern Cal to bring a damn lunch because it's going to be a long-ass day for him.
It's just so funny, man. Oh, people like that. You get a certain age, they just say funny stuff. That's good stuff. So put USC in a body bag, did Lou Holtz. Well, we got game number 3 today about to start here in Greenville. Is that right?
That's right.
Game 3. Look at that crowd. Oh, that's a pretty good crowd right there.
Lower
Auburn
Bowl looks 95% full.
Yeah, it does look good. Auburn and A&M going at it. Game 3 just underway here in Greenville. I don't think I'm going to make it out tonight, but I would like to try. I love going to that tournament, man.
Yeah, there's 3 games, like you said, that have been played today.
And then
trying
one
to
at
get
8.
to
One at 8 o'clock tonight.
Trying to get to the scores here. Kentucky has beat Arkansas 94-64. Kentucky will face Georgia. The winner of that game will face South Carolina. Florida absolutely beat down Mississippi State 86-68. And obviously this Auburn A&M game just tipped off. A&M should beat Auburn, but neither one of these teams
Auburn's
finished
bad
in a plus 500 in the SEC this year.
And then there's the 8 o'clock game, right?
Correct. That game is Missouri 4-12 in the SEC against 7-9 Alabama.
Should win that one. Should. By the way, I want to say shout out to, you mentioned the Spartan Burgers earlier in the show. Shout out to the Hub City Spartan Burgers. If any of those folks are listening, Ian, Tyson, those guys went over to a high school baseball tournament last night, Diesel, the Steve Sanders Championship at Fifth Third Park. It's kind of cool last night. 8 o'clock start between Boiling Springs and Spartanburg, and it was a pretty good crowd. I love that they're doing the high school baseball at Fifth Third Park. They're doing like a few other games at Fifth Third Park for high school teams in the next couple of weeks. You've got a few more college games. Upstate and Wofford are playing there next Wednesday. We've already had Carolina and Wofford, right, a couple of weeks ago. And I love before the season starts on April 3rd, the high school and college games at Fifth Third Park. It's year 2. Last night, it was still as awesome. I still love it and cannot wait for the Hub City Spartanburger season to kick off. Tolos, if you want to react to this audio, you can do so on the Joy Law Firm text line, 844-326-3663. Phone lines are open as well. Texter on the Joy Law Firm text line from the 344 gets in and says, ESPN just put out the wrong picture of that Minnesota receiver who passed away as well. Epic failures. Did they really?
Push notifications, they've got a gigantic reach.
Yeah.
You got to get this stuff right. You got to get this stuff. I mean, I've seen ESPN make mistakes of putting up the wrong graphics for schools or not having a graphic at all. And like postseason action, how do you not have a graphic for some of these schools? But That's
Why do I what's your name?
extra bad. That's not good.
It's real bad. Real bad is what I say. We got a lot more audio to get to. Before we get to the audio, though, we do have our daily Dewey Diesel. He's not forgotten about us. I gave him a hard time on the stream and said, hey, Dewey, why hadn't you called today? I guess it's because we've had 4 guests. Maybe is that your excuse, Dewey?
Hooey, hooey, and bluey joining the show.
Well, I was going to actually leave you all alone today, but since I was summoned, I got a couple of things I got to say. You're talking about this Jerickson Profar thing, and he needs to be kicked out of baseball. The Braves, the announcer guy talking about they're missing three more pitchers. The Braves just need to hang it up. The season's already over. All their pitchers are injured. Whoever's in charge of training, they need to be fired. It's every year. They need to be kicked out of the major leagues. That's simple.
I think there's a substation, Diesel, near Atlanta that's causing this, right?
The restaurant or the power plant?
I like the restaurant.
Substations are good.
The power plant. Remember the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah,
they said their injuries was because of the power plant. Substation, something like that.
And Jerickson Profar, he's not sharing his drugs, and they're just going to suck this year. But as far as Lou Holtz, it makes me sad. I remember when he took over the South Carolina Gamecock program. The program was a dumpster fire under Brad Scott, and Lou Holtz came and made it the one it was today until Shane Beamer came and screwed it all up. So, Lou Holtz, you rest in peace because you did a good thing.
Well, he's definitely going to rest in peace now that he heard that.
He laid
Did we just laugh?
For Lou Holtz, for Steve Spurrier to come, but Steve Spurrier was a sellout. Lou Holtz, he left with dignity. And the thing that marred Lou Holtz's reputation was that fight at Clemson that year.
I was there.
You're little then. I remember that. I was drinking beer. But anyways,
I was little. You're right. I was little. And I think Lou left in 2000. Lou retired in 2004. I think that was 2003.
Well, you're in probably in the 3rd grade then. But anyways, Lou Holtz, he's going to be remembered for what he did for South Carolina, because if it wasn't for Lou Holtz, the program will still be a dumpster fire. It's about there now, but Lou Holtz set the standard, and everyone else except for Muschamp and Shane Beamer still debatable. It's going to live up to that standard. So rest in peace, Lou. Oh.
Dewey, are you still there?
Yeah.
Did you hear a second ago? Did Cole make you laugh?
I think he did.
I don't think we've ever heard you laugh on the air before.
So.
I don't think I laughed.
I think you did.
Can I try to make you laugh with a knock joke, Dewey?
Oh, you can try.
Okay. Knock.
Who's there?
Tank.
Tank who?
You're welcome.
I like it.
Nothing out of Dewey.
I like that. That's good.
Crowd.
That's good. Dan B on the YouTube stream says, dang, only 2 new to the bracket, and I changed my name. But Dan, we only needed 1 more. We've got 21 in the bracket challenge. So 2 days in a row, we've hit our goal. Look at us. Look at you, Tolos. 2 days in a row, 21 Tolos have joined the bracket challenge. We need 10 per day to get to 100. Text the show or go on Facebook or Twitter at the Fan Upstate. You can find the link there. We'll text you the link if you want to join. Right now, we have 21 Tolos in the bracket challenge, and we can get to 100. We can do it. We had how many? You and Dan both can answer this. Upset picks this year over couple hundred.
Dan
right?
would know the answer to that.
We had over 100. I know that.
Players, yeah.
So we got to get these numbers up, but let's go 10 a day.
I can't believe that didn't get Dewey to laugh.
Nah, I think he did. He just didn't want to admit it. I think he did earlier. Let's get to Ron Washington. A lot of Braves fans will find this interesting. This was on a podcast. Ron Washington, the former Braves coach, third base coach, kind of talked about how things went sour with the Angels. I don't know. What do you think about this audio, Tolos, if you're a Braves fan?
we fell apart. They didn't trust my health. I was disappointed because just as my issue hit me last year in June, I had my team going in the right direction. I had the attitude good. They was committed to what we was trying to do. And then that came down, and then I had to watch it on TV. And to watch it on TV, I had to watch them just fall apart. I wouldn't say they fell apart because I wasn't there, but we fell apart. And I just felt like we was ready to whip some people's butt before I went down. I made a difference in that clubhouse, and I made a difference on that team. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I did make a difference. And I could see the difference wasn't there when I wasn't there. I'm enjoying myself here with the Giants. They took a chance on me and my health.
Why do you feel like they didn't bring you back, Wash?
I think it was tough for them to trust my health. Nobody would say that, but I think it was tough for them to trust my health. And if I wouldn't have went down, I think I'd still be in Anaheim. But when I went down and I had a big option that they had to pick up, they didn't trust my health. And I have no problem with that. They got right to feel that way.
It kind of makes you sad a little bit, you know. I love Ron Washington for what he did in Atlanta, longtime coach there, and won a world championship, Diesel. But, you know, he had that health issue like you talked about, and they fell apart last year. I don't know that it was I guess you'd have to look back and say that was a bad hire, but you don't want to make it sound like it's Ron's fault for having health issues, but he is up there in age.
I do like a guy that I love his level of confidence, though.
I do too.
You know, he's like, look, I was there. Things were going great. I wasn't there. They fell apart.
He's
I'm not saying it's me, but I'm saying it was me.
It was me. He's 73, by the way.
Gosh.
Yeah. I mean, Braves fans, I think we all feel the same way. We just love Ron Washington. So that was kind of hard to hear. Let's go to this. This is crazy. I don't know if you've heard this audio yet. The Hornets won last night. You mentioned that earlier in the show.
Yeah.
They're probably going to lose tonight. But that's not the point. That's not the point, Diesel. I've got some turnaround statistics from the Bill Simmons podcast. If you don't listen to Bill Simmons, he does a pretty good job. And he explains how long it's been since the Hornets have been relevant and just how bad times have been in Charlotte. This is pretty good audio.
I'm going to start us off with some Hornets facts. They haven't made the playoffs in 10 years. Last time they made the playoffs was the last year of Barack Obama's second term. Since their expansion comeback year in 2005, 3 playoff appearances. They haven't won a playoff round since 2002, which was also the year they moved. They don't have a single number that they could retire this century, unless you want to talk yourself into a Kemba Walker night just for the emotional night, or Al Jefferson night. They haven't made the Eastern Finals once, even going back to the morning LJ era. Just in the last few years, they drafted Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 11th. And immediately traded him for Miles Bridges in 2 seconds. I forgot this happened. They drafted Jalen Duren and immediately traded him for a future first in 3 seconds. And the future first became Nick Smith. They took Saloon 1 pick before Donovan Clingan. They spent a lottery pick on James Bouknight. Last year, they were 19-63. They started out 4-14 this season. So they were 23-77 in 100 games over 2 seasons. And since then, something magical has happened. They're now 30-31. Their last 32 games, Zach Lowe, 21-11. Their first overall net rating plus 9.8 in the last 32 games of any NBA team. First in offensive rating, 121.4, which would be nearing the all-time high. This has been the most dramatic turnaround in season of anyone that I can remember.
And he's right. It's true. Now, it didn't take much of a turnaround because of how bad they were. Like, they were really, really bad, as he pointed out. But those statistics, to hear those out loud, the fact, Diesel, that they drafted Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the best players on planet Earth, who, oh, by the way, just won a NBA championship, 8 months ago?
Uh-huh.
I mean, this franchise is so bad. It might be I don't know who's worse, them or New Orleans.
There was an episode of Seinfeld, and I know you're not a big TV guy. Maybe you watched Seinfeld, maybe you didn't, where George realizes that all of the decisions he's made in his life has led him to basically being a drifting, aimless loser. So he says, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite of every instinct I have. When I see a pretty girl, I'm not going to be afraid to talk to her. I'm going to go talk to her. If I'm going to order, instead of ordering the tuna salad, I'm going to order a chicken sandwich. And he starts doing these things, and his life turns around. Can we get some of that George Costanza energy in Charlotte? Because they've been right there. They've just screwed it up with terrible decisions.
They've screwed it up, Diesel, but what they've got to do is, yes, they have momentum right now, and yes, they're playing well, and yes, they won by, 20-plus points last night. They've still, what people have to understand is they're fun to watch. I saw pictures last night. A friend of mine on Facebook went to the game. there was a lot of people there last night, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's awesome, but there's still a mountain between them and a team like San Antonio, who was bad a couple of years ago, that's really, really good now, maybe an NBA champion good, or Oklahoma City. They've got to do what they haven't done. You mentioned it. They've got to start drafting well. For whatever reason, they've got to flip that switch, Diesel, where they start drafting well. They haven't done that. Maybe they will.
Well, I'm just nervous now that they'll do what they have done in years past, and they will trade away Brandon Miller or somebody like that because he's just too expensive, and they're not willing to spend the money on him. They'll trade these guys away. Oh, Con Knippel can do it by himself. We'll just let him be the face of this team for years going forward. No. Stay the course, spend the money, do what you got to do. Give us a damn winner because it's been so long.
It's been a long time. Two more pieces of audio real quick. JB, the OG Tolo on the YouTube stream, says the Hornets are only 4.5 games out of the 5th seed in the East. That's right. And the 6th seed, JB, is a guaranteed playoff spot. 7 through 10's the play-in. So I'm telling you, that gap's not far. It's a logjam right there in the Eastern Conference, but who knows? We'll see. Let's go to Paul Skeens, a Major League Baseball pitcher, on what it's like, the importance of playing in the World Baseball Classic for USA.
I'm from America. I love America. I've seen the WBCs in the past, and there's no bigger stage or no greater honor than wearing USA across your chest. I think another one is, I went to the Air Force Academy for 2 years, wanted to serve. I was intending on serving. Ended up transferring out to LSU and won a national championship there and did some cool stuff there. But there was, a big part of me that was, fully intent on serving in the military, as a career after college. And so this is it's not serving, but this is a pretty close second.
Pretty cool to hear him admit that. I think a lot of people, Diesel, have regrets. I mean, I think I do. I think we all do of as much as we love our country, not having served, and for him and be openly admit that. I love that.
I really wanted to serve. Turns out I was really good at baseball, so I transferred to LSU instead.
Yeah, and there was a girl named Livy Dunn that helped. Yeah,
that helps.
It helps. Last one, Big Bad. No, I can't call him Big Bad Brad. He lost. That's only when he wins. Brad Burnell after last night's loss to the Tar Heels. Here's what Brad said.
They competed. Give North Carolina credit. I thought they had a couple guys. Bogovic, I think, is that maybe how you pronounce his name, was obviously outstanding. Big shots. Dixon made a huge 3 at the end of the clock. That was a huge shot. And that's really what, the game kind of came down to. It's just 1 or 2 possessions here or there. Turnovers are about the same. Rebounding similar. All the things that you would expect in a close game. RJ was fantastic for us. And, just disappointed we had a chance to kind of win one here and just had a couple bad possessions and weren't able to steal a win a little bit.
I think this one hurts a little more, Diesel. We talked about it in the very first segment of the show, but Clemson outclassed North Carolina in a lot of categories, just couldn't get it done in the final minutes last night.
I got one piece of audio here for you, Cole. This is the head basketball coach of Miami of Ohio, Travis Steele, whose team got a win against Akron last night, stayed undefeated. They're still undefeated with 1 regular season game to go. Obviously, we've had a lot of fun talking about Bruce Pearl, taking his shots at Miami of Ohio and their strength of schedule. Here is Travis Steele finally responding to Bruce Pearl.
Number one, I'm going to address Bruce. I like Bruce. I do. And Bruce is a great guy. I'm not calling Bruce and asking him for his opinion on our team. All respect to Bruce. Bruce is a way better coach than I'll ever be. Right? Like he's a Hall of Famer. He's won everywhere he's been. That's what I told him. I could care less what he says. We control our own destiny. Let's prepare the right way. Let's focus on the right things. Now, for David Saylor, I love that he's going to bat for us. Now, he's a fighter. He's going to fight for us. So he's not afraid of anybody, and he wants to see our program do really well and get the recognition it deserves. So.
I love that. He's a great guy. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won everywhere he's gone, but
screw him,
I'm
man.
not asking him for his opinion on my team.
No, are you kidding me? I love that. That's good stuff there, and he shouldn't. That's not his job to do that.
That's great. When we come back, Cole, let's jump back into the conversation about the SEC women's basketball tournament with Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. She's been on site, on location down at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville. We caught up with her earlier today before all of these games got underway. We'll talk to Lulu Kesson next.
text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
The Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. The SEC Women's Tournament got started earlier today. We're actually pre-recording this interview with Lulu Kesson, who is very, very busy. Tournament started today with Arkansas, Kentucky in game one. By the time this airs, that game and probably game two, Mississippi State, Florida will have gone final. The winner of game one, Arkansas, Kentucky, will play Georgia tomorrow. The winner of that will face South Carolina at noon on Friday. Talking about it with Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. Lulu, as you've spent time downtown earlier today, I haven't been down there yet. What's the vibe like? Can you give us a check? Are there logos walking around all over downtown Greenville? What are you seeing?
I think it's spread out a little bit. It's definitely exciting. I think a lot of people, last year was my first tournament, and I think there was really great energy from the jump, and I'm seeing a lot of that already this year, and I'm very excited for all that, this tournament will bring to the area. And, I heard a lot of people, different journalists from, way outside South Carolina that were really pleased with all Greenville had to offer. So I'm hopeful that it'll be like that again this year for sure.
Lulu, with that being said, the positive feedback that you're talking about there, is that something that you think will keep this tournament in Greenville from years to come? I remember last year, some of the analysts on ESPN were talking about how awesome it was. Do you think Greenville's in jeopardy of maybe losing it over the next few years, or do you feel like it's safe here?
Well, I think it's a complicated thing because I do think a lot of coaches complain about the fact that it's, close to South Carolina's, home arena. And I think that, Kim Mulkey, I believe it was, that made a good point the other day. That was just like, someone else has to bid on it. Like, don't complain. Somebody else needs to step up if, we don't want to keep having the tournament in Greenville. So I don't know if it's necessarily in jeopardy for reasons other than people who feel really strongly that South Carolina shouldn't get what they call a home court advantage. But the reality is South Carolina fans have proven they'll travel literally anywhere. And so I don't think that element will completely go away if they move the tournament. But you're right. ESPN analysts, like everybody loved it.
Yeah, Lulu, I'm sure those coaches complaining like Vic Schaefer have no desire to move the SEC women's tournament closer to their home states. They would never have those kinds of ulterior motives. I do wonder, though, and you reposted a graphic earlier today from Primetime Mitch on Twitter, South Carolina women's basketball, the most watched team in America. Do you think that there's any subtle nod from the conference wanting to put this thing in the state of the team that gets the most eyeballs?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know fully, all that goes into it. And obviously I only know tournaments in Greenville. I wasn't here when they were in different locations. And so, but I think overall that like committees and people who work on scheduling games that want to draw audiences, like you can't run from the fact that South Carolina has a really large fan base. And I don't think that in any way people try to give South Carolina the advantage by, that element. I don't think it's unfair. I just think like Dawn Staley built something really special. And when I was in Vegas, last year to start the 24-25 season, it felt like a home game, and that was across the country. And so I think that the reason why maybe Dawn is, sort of tired of people asking her about, how do you feel about the tournament being in Greenville? She's like, there's no right answer for me to say, because if I acknowledge that I like it just for the, the area alone, it's going to be like, oh, okay, South Carolina's close by. But if I don't like it, it's a difficult situation for sure. But I do think that regardless, everybody knows no matter where you play South Carolina, there's going to be fans. And I think even like we saw in that graphic, like everyone's watching South Carolina on TV and in person.
We're talking to Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News, live in Greenville for the SEC Women's Tournament. Lulu, outside of South Carolina, what do you think the biggest storyline is, or storylines are, outside of the Gamecocks as this tournament begins today in Greenville?
I definitely think Vanderbilt is probably one. There's a pretty good chance that the world is going to get a Vanderbilt-Texas rematch, and that was a game that Texas really did not play well. And lost by, a good chunk. And I think that was the game that Vic Schaefer said, his team has no heart. And that sort of was like, whoa, you're saying that about a really talented Texas team. And I'm curious. I think this Vanderbilt team is absolutely legit, but obviously it's way different playing as a 2 seed than it is a 7 seed, which I think they were last year. So I would say anything revolving Vanderbilt, Texas, those teams. I'm curious to see if Georgia can sort of make a run, but this is probably going to be one of the best tournaments in years, I'd argue, just given the fact that honestly, pretty much every team is really talented and capable of doing a lot.
Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News, obviously with the format being what it is, the double bye, Dawn's team's going to get a couple of extra days to rest up before they got to face tough opponents. Now, it's obviously a different format from what they deal with on a weekly basis, 2 games a week, couple days in between each game. Going into this new format where they could be playing back-to-back-to-back days, how healthy are they? What's the injury situation with these Lady Gamecocks?
Yeah, I would not expect Adele Tack to be playing. Dawn, I know, is meeting with media later today, and I'll get the reports from other people based on that and any updated injuries. Luckily, knock on wood for Dawn, it seemed like they were turning a more positive corner heading into the final game against Kentucky. But exactly to your point, this is a team that's really struggled with injuries and struggled to stay healthy. And it's a lot different to, last year they had the number 1 bench in the country and they had a lot of depth. And, they have the talent on their bench this year, just the numbers wise hasn't been as consistent in terms of who's just been available. And so I think this tournament, South Carolina's, arguably the most talented team. They won the regular season by, 2 games, which is incredibly difficult to do given the talent in the SEC this year. But exactly like you brought up, it's tricky because you don't fully know how healthy this team is going to stay. But at the moment, at least things look positive, and I would anticipate that, as of based on everything I know, Adele Tack is sort of the one that, I would not expect her to suit up on, Friday.
Lulu, a little bit of a format breaker here, taking you inside a conversation that Diesel and I had on the show yesterday. I wanted to get your thoughts. Diesel asked a question to the audience in terms of their opinion on who the face of the Carolinas was from a sports perspective. And we narrowed it down to 3 people. It was Dabo, Michael Jordan, and Dawn Staley. Obviously, Michael's ties to NASCAR being in North Carolina and having played at North Carolina, and Dawn and Dabo for obvious reasons being the face of the sport. I want to get your thoughts on who the face of the sport, or who the face of the Carolinas is, rather, when it comes to sports. Do you like those 3? How would you order those 3? Or is there somebody else that you think maybe we're leaving off?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think if you asked Dawn Staley that, she would tell you to never put her above Michael Jordan on any lists. I think that it's fair to pay respect to those who came before you. And I think that in a lot of ways, Dawn Staley would acknowledge all that Michael Jordan has done. I would probably, if I'm going based on your list, put him at the top, put Dawn number 2 and Dabo 3. But I don't know. I also my opinion is so different because I didn't grow up around here. And so from the outside, you can't deny that the first 2 just had a little bit more of an out-of-state impact. Like, obviously, I knew about Clemson football, but the reach that Michael Jordan and Dawn had was just a little further out.
Yeah, Lulu, Dawn is everywhere right now. She's in Aflac commercials with Nick Saban and Deion Sanders. That's entering a whole new stratosphere of being a recognizable face for sports here in the Carolinas. I want to flip over to the football field here for just a second. Josiah Thompson injured. The news came out yesterday. He was going to miss the season. What's the latest on his injury? Do we know what it is?
No, we have not. It's, not surprising from the Shane Beamer element and the fact that he protects his players in that way. He very rarely gives details with injuries. He sort of made a comment when we asked for just a little bit more detail, something along the lines of I don't want to air out Josiah's business, things like that. Do I think that we'll get to the bottom of it, in the next couple of days? I don't know. I think there's a reason, especially why something like this, it's serious. It's something that requires surgery. And so I think that I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit more buttoned up. But that's all to say it's obviously a loss, and Shane acknowledged that. Losing peak temporarily. Shane is very hopeful that Jacarius Peak will be back for at least September, but pretty much ruled him out for the spring and a bit of the summer. It's difficult to look at sort of what South Carolina's options are at tackle right now, but when you bring Darius Gray in this summer, things will change in that regard. But from an experience standpoint, there's no denying the fact that losing Josiah Thompson takes a bite out of what you have on your offensive line just in terms of snap count.
Lulu, you said it, and you're probably right. The details probably somehow, some way will make their way out, but I'm a little confused here. Today was the first day of spring practice. I mean, we've already seen one off-the-field injury. I'm not asking you to speculate in any way, shape, or form, but is it possible that this is kind of off the field as well? Do you know anything about that?
So Shane basically specified that this was, sorry, I should have explained this earlier, but basically from our understanding, Shane explained that this is an injury that Josiah has had for a couple years now. It's something going back to high school. He's sort of played through it in some ways, but they knew for at least a year, or at least had talked about last year, that like when they actually had to address the injury, it would require surgery that would likely keep him out all season. So I think it was almost more of a matter of, okay, when do we do this surgery, rather than an offensive lineman who randomly fell down the stairs and got hurt in January. Like it wasn't as sort of Pete's basketball injury. That was pretty random. But I think this is something that has been bothering him for a while, and they figured, okay, now is the best time, because the longer, I don't want to put words in Shane's mouth, but to sort of get a vibe, like sort of the longer they waited, the longer it would, I guess the bigger the chance it might affect him like long term, because Shane kind of kept emphasizing like we want him to have a career beyond just South Carolina. So I think it was just the time that everybody decided to do the surgery.
Jumping back to the SEC women's tournament conversation, South Carolina again gonna face a pool of Arkansas, Kentucky, and Georgia. They played Arkansas and Georgia earlier this season, handled them fairly easily, but just a couple of days ago, had a bit of a tough time, only a 4-point win on the road at Kentucky. Of those three, who would you say Dawn and Gamecock fans least likely want to see on the other side of that court?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kentucky would probably be the easy answer. South Carolina beat Kentucky by 4, but as Dawn said, we only scored 60, but we also held them to 56 points. Like, South Carolina's defense has been exceptional throughout the regular season, and if that carries over, I think that will really push through. And I think they're like third in the country in field goal percentage, or at least were towards the end of the season. Kentucky's a difficult matchup because of Clara Strack. I think she's one of the best centers in the country. She has a turnaround jumper that just is impossible to stop. And Medina Okot scored 21 and had 13, and I think Clara had like 24 and 9. So it was really just those two kind of going like bar for bar for most of the Kentucky game, and South Carolina's bench I don't think had a single point. So I think matchup-wise, you just don't want to give an angry Kentucky a second chance. Kentucky had a chance to win that game and didn't score in the last 2 minutes. And so I think if you're South Carolina, even though Georgia has played better since South Carolina played them and Georgia took down Vanderbilt, and they're a really good team, if we're looking at sort of personnel, I'd argue that South Carolina would probably want Georgia or Arkansas and try to avoid Kentucky, because they're a pretty dangerous lower seed.
Lulu, last question for you. When you look at this, the totality, obviously in a tournament like this, anything can happen. How do you see it playing out with a few of those teams you just mentioned? South Carolina definitely rounding into form toward the end of the season this year. Do you see them again on Sunday hoisting the trophy? How do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think if you're South Carolina, I've said this before, and maybe I'm wrong in my opinion, but I think if you're South Carolina and you want to pick up you want to do the most impressive thing, it would be beating Vanderbilt in the championship on Sunday. And I say that because a lot of people feel like the only reason South Carolina beat Vanderbilt on the 25th was because they lost to Oklahoma, and it was fresh off a loss. And a lot of people think that it was sort of like an anomaly for Vandy, and so I think you have a lot to prove there. This is a really, really talented Vanderbilt team. I also think if you're South Carolina, you want to avoid Texas, just because if you lose to Texas, then you have the 2-1. You're down right now. You're tied with Texas. You went 1-1 this year, and you don't want to be down 1-2 to them. on the season. I would not be surprised if it's, you know, what sort of the top 4 seeds are, which is, I think that South Carolina, LSU, Texas, and Vandy have a good chance of all playing on Saturday, but I also would not be surprised if an Oklahoma, you know, took it close to LSU and somehow upset them. So I think in some ways it'll play out exactly how people think, but I think South Carolina, this will be their most difficult run to Sunday if they're able to do that again.
Lulu Kesson, you're a wordsmith, far more accomplished than either Cole or I. What one word would you use to describe the vibe around this South Carolina women's team coming into this tournament? Would you say it is focused, determined, angry, nervous? What would you say?
Ooh, I guess I would focused or battle tested. Like, this team knows what they did this year. I think that angry, I think hungry would be more than angry. I think Raven Johnson doesn't want to fail to host. You know, she's sort of been this anchor for this team, and I think she refuses to not leave Greenville on Sunday with the trophy. And I think that she will be very, very hungry for that.
Lulu, you're the best. Appreciate you as always taking time today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sure thing. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your week.
The Fan Upstate on Odyssey, TuneIn, and now suited up on the iHeartRadio app, wherever you listen.
Well, it's final segment. Final chance for you, Tolos, to get your thoughts in on the show. 844-326-3663. That's the Joy Law Firm text line. One more reminder to you, if you would like to join the bracket challenge, the ESPN bracket challenge, guess what? You can do so. The link's on our Facebook page and Twitter page, or you can just text the show right here, and we'll text you the link back. Diesel, we have 2 days. We asked for 10 a day, right? 2 days in, we've got 23.
Hey, we're doing well.
We're meeting our goal every day.
We're doing well.
And a little bit more, right?
Yeah. Always do more than is expected.
I think we can continue to rack those numbers up. 10 a day. We'll get near 100. If you've joined already, get your friends and family to join. It's a lot of fun. Again, it's the ESPN Bracket Challenge. The group name is 2026 The Fan Upstate. Let's see who we've got in here. Stop me when you know or you recognize one of the Rockies winner. I think that is somebody.
Is it RJ?
No, somebody earlier texted us and said, it was I remember.
Logan.
Yeah. That's who it was. You're right. Good memory.
Now I'm confused. Is it Logan? Is it Rocky? I told him to come up with a good name. He said, I'll just be Rocky.
Rocky's winner. Rocky's winner is his name in the challenge. I see A. Blake Hammett 03. Let's see. Sir Big Spur. I don't know who that is. We want Patrick Brown's in there. Oh, you're going to have to help me out. Look at this. Can I say this on the radio? I think so. Yippee-ki-yay mother dunker.
It's good stuff.
That's really
good
a name?
Stuff.
I don't know who that is. Do you have any idea who that is?
I don't know.
Yippee-yay.
I think it's Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh,
he was in town today.
Oh,
right?
he was toloing.
His daughter plays for Florida.
Yeah, and he was
Shaq as a tolo.
Oh, it was a bad injury, by the way, for an A&M player they just showed.
That's Dan B.
Oh, I like that name.
Daniel.
I like that. It's funny. It's funny. Bronco Brian, J. Rip, 5902. Don't Stop D Leaving. That's you. I like that. That's a good name, too. It's a good name. Let's see. T. Kano. I don't know T. Kano. ESPN fan. I think he needs to change his name. JB, the OG Tolo's in there. Cole Bryson. That's not me. KOLEBRISON. It's somebody. These people are freaking hilarious. Don't know who that is. Puppy Monkey Baby. Tom. Cole Kelly Green Bryson. Again, not me.
Who is Kelly Green?
I don't know. I don't know who Kelly Green. Do you know who Kelly? I mean, I had no idea. No idea. Duke is going to sweep. That's the name of one bracket.
Kelly Green is an Australian singer. I don't think it's her, though.
Who would know this stuff? Australia.
Yeah, I had to search it.
Yeah, I don't know if
She's
that's
like in her
not.
70s.
Yeah, I hope not. Duke is going to sweep. Tracy, Bevel, Cocky Jake, Rebel, Vol 51, Cole Don't Know Ball, Bob, We Had a Baby, It's a Boys in there, and Joe Cool. I like Joe Cool. I don't know who Joe Cool is.
We need to get Jersey Joe in there.
What about Dewey?
Yeah, sure. Dewey said, we already talked to Lulu, and I said, Dewey, we talked to you. We've already talked to you, so why should we keep bringing you on?
Yeah, that's true, too. Sorry, Dewey. That's a good comment from Dan B. Look at that. He's I don't know. She didn't whoop us in the. You do need to get her in on it just to see if it happens again.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
I don't know what her methodology would be for filling out a bracket.
If Furman gets into the tournament, if they win the SoCon and get into the big dance, I can guarantee you she will be in this challenge.
So for those listening, Dan said D is Ash, your wife, going to get in on this and beat all of us like she did in the upset pick
She whooped our butts.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was not.
It was really bad.
It was embarrassing, to be honest.
It was bad. I think we should get her in on it just to see if she does replicate. If she does again, then you'd need to buy lottery tickets.
Yeah.
You know? But Tolos, get in 844-326-3663. That link's on social media as well.
Who was the Tolo we had call in yesterday with the thick New England accent, the thick Boston accent?
Jersey. Yeah, it was
Who
good.
was that?
I liked it. I liked the accent. Forget his name.
I
God,
want to get him in here too.
I know we got a lot of people got to get in here.
Yeah, we need to get Crazy Ralph in there.
Crazy Ralph.
Hadn't heard from Crazy Ralph in a while either.
Yes, let's go.
Tolo's big show for you tomorrow. We'll know who South Carolina is going to face by the time we're on the air tomorrow. We'll get into that, among a bunch of other things, right here on the Fan Upstate.